reborn in Brazil as a financial tycoon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Party. Seeing their father's embarrassed figure, the mother and her two children looked at the old man with some confusion. The old man saw the expressions of the others and said, "Teoa, go call your uncle back and tell him that his eldest nephew is back. Daughter-in-law, go cook a few dishes. Your son hasn't eaten yet. We can talk while we eat." Fang Lang watched the old man walking back and forth in the living room with a cane, smiling. He was afraid that the old man would fall accidentally, so he stepped forward and whispered, "Grandpa, be careful, don't fall. Let's sit down and talk slowly, okay?" Haha, Langer. What you just said really hits the nail on the head. I still remember when your great-grandfather passed away, he called me and the old brothers who came with him to his bedside and repeatedly told us not to forget where our roots are and where our ancestors were. Before their older generation passed away, they would gather us young people together and repeatedly emphasize to us that we must not forget our roots. However, I find that in your generation, many people don't remember their ancestors very well, and some people can't even speak our language or write our characters. We old guys often get together, feeling anxious and angry, and we don't know what to do. However, your words today have given me hope again. You can talk to us old guys about your ideas and thoughts later. Don't worry, I will fully support you. The old man's face was full of excitement and relief, with tears in his eyes and a rosy complexion. He felt 10 years younger. "Okay, Grandpa, calm down first. I'll pack my luggage first and talk to you guys later. You can also help me with my ideas. Everyone has their own ideas," Fang Lang said as he helped the old man sit on his recliner. The old man waved at Fang Lang, motioning him to pack first, and said, "Pack up quickly and come down. Your dad and the others should be here soon." Fang Lang looked at his grandfather again and saw him sitting on the recliner, his fingers still tapping the armrests rhythmically. He was obviously in a good mood. He smiled and said nothing more. He picked up his luggage and walked to his room. When Fang Lang packed his room and washed his face, he found that his living room was full of people. There were at least more than 30 people. There were only about 10 people of the same generation as his grandfather, and the rest were mostly their sons and grandchildren. Because they were all from the same village, most of them were elders who had watched Fang Lang grow up, so Fang Lang hurried forward and greeted them one by one. Fang Lang's uncle Fang Xinshu was also among them. Fang Xinshu was the youngest son of his grandfather. He was very naughty because he was spoiled by his grandmother since he was a child. His grades were not very good when he was studying in school, but he was forced by his great-grandfather to learn martial arts since he was a child, so he was good at fighting and was also a well-known devil. Later, as he grew up, he began to hang out in society. When Fang Lang was still young, he had formed a small Chinese gang in the city of Sao Paulo with his friends, who grew up with him. Because Brazil does not ban guns, he was dressed casually and walked around the city with a pistol on his belt every day. Grandpa taught him many times, but it was useless. Once he had a big fight with his grandfather. He simply moved out, but he often came to visit his grandfather and father. Uncle liked Fang Lang very much since he was a child. Uncle married a white Portuguese wife and gave birth to 2 daughters. People of this era generally valued boys over girls, and Uncle's family concept was also very strong, so he treated Fang Lang better than his own daughter. I remember that, when Fang Lang ran away from home, he wanted to go to his uncle. However, he was rejected by his uncle. When he wanted to send him back home, he escaped. He had nowhere to go, so he joined the army. A bunch of people gathered in the living room, listening to Grandpa recalling the last wishes of his great-grandfather and the older generation, and blaming himself with several grandfathers for not educating his descendants well. Many of the younger generations can't even speak Chinese or write Chinese characters. The middle-aged and young people in the room blushed and lowered their heads. Finally, the old man said what he heard from his eldest grandson Fang Lang today, and everyone in the room looked at Fang Lang sideways. The uncle even put his hand on Fang Lang's shoulder and squeezed it hard. What my eldest grandson said to me today made me happy from the bottom of my heart. There is still hope for the tasks assigned by the older generation. I originally wanted to ask a few of us old guys to come over and have a chat, but since so many heads of the family are here, let's all have a chat together. See what my eldest grandson thinks, and whether he can fulfill the last wishes of our fathers. It will also allow us to face our ancestors when we are old. After saying that, he waved to Fang Lang and said, "Come on, Fang Lang, these are all your grandfathers, uncles, and there are no outsiders. Let's talk about whatever we have to say today. Tell us all your ideas. We will also discuss them with you." Fang Lang was not polite. He originally wanted to recruit some helpers in the village when he came back this time. After all, he certainly couldn't do everything by himself. Now it's better. If he can convince these people on the scene, he can basically get the support of the whole village. "Dear grandpas, uncles, I haven't seen you for more than 2 years. Without me going to your homes to make trouble, you should have enjoyed 2 years of peace and quiet. I didn't expect that I just came back and the old man gathered you all together again. It really caused trouble for everyone." Everyone laughed, and some people were even laughing and cursing the devil and the little bastard. After everyone's voices died down, Fang Lang continued, "I've been outside for the past 2 years. I've seen a lot of the world, learned a lot of knowledge, and suffered a lot of hardships and grievances. But these 2 years have also made me grow up. I've come into contact with many Chinese people from other countries, including the United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia. I found that we Chinese people are living a very aggrieved life all over the world. We are bullied everywhere and looked down upon. People think that Chinese people are weak and can be bullied. There are even many places where robbers only rob Chinese people. In their eyes, Chinese people are fat sheep. There are even many Chinese people who have completely regarded themselves as foreigners and look down on Chinese people and even look down on themselves. After being bullied by other foreigners, they vent their anger on Chinese people like them." Fang Lang's words made everyone in the room lower their heads, and some people even felt the same way and had red eyes. "I don't understand why this is happening. Are we Chinese inferior? We are one of the nations with the longest cultural history in the world. When we have started to wear silk clothes and have cities with hundreds of thousands of people, these foreigners are still eating raw meat and drinking blood, living a primitive life. Think about our Han and Tang dynasties, when the Four Directions came to congratulate the glorious Celestial Empire. Now, a tiny Japan dares to send troops to attack their suzerain country. Even these Japanese immigrants in Brazil are riding on our heads and shitting and pissing. What's the reason? Because of the corruption and incompetence of the Qing dynasty, our motherland has fallen behind, and those who fall behind will be beaten. This is an eternal truth. Because our motherland has fallen behind, we overseas wanderers cannot stand up straight and dare not speak loudly because there is no strong motherland behind you to support you. Maybe some people think that I'm Brazilian now and I have Brazilian nationality when I go out. Is that true? When you walk on the street, people see your skin color, your black hair and black eyes. Will they think you are Brazilian? Anyway, I have never encountered this. Fang Lang stopped, looked at everyone's expressions, and after everyone had digested it for a while, he said, "I don't want to be bullied anymore. I don't want to be looked down upon, and I don't want to be unable to stand up straight, so I'm determined to do something. Maybe my own power is small, and I can't change too many things, but I believe that there will be many Chinese brothers like me who don't want to live this kind of life anymore, and don't want our descendants to continue living this kind of life. I don't want my descendants to feel ashamed of being the descendants of Chinese in the future. So, this time I came back to find some like-minded brothers to do something with me." "Okay, Langja, what you said hit the nail on the head. I've had enough. No matter what you want to do, count me in. I'm your uncle and I fully support you." Fang Xinshu was excited and his face was flushed. It was obvious that he had suffered a lot. Chapter 27 Direction. The people in the room responded enthusiastically, and the crowd was excited. Many elderly people even began to wipe away tears. It was unknown whether they were thinking of their own life experiences or worried about their descendants. Fang Lang carefully observed everyone's expressions, because some things could not be spread out and known by others, so Fang Lang had to be cautious. As the saying goes, if the king is not discreet, he will lose his ministers. If the ministers are not discreet, they will lose their bodies. If several things are not discreet, harm will be done. So there are some things that Fang Lang does not want to say in public, but looking at the excitement in front of him, he knows that if he hides it, it will hurt everyone's feelings. So he has to reveal some things that are obvious. Everyone knows that our motherland is being ravaged by the Japanese, and the Axis powers will soon be finished. My idea is that our people can go to the motherland, to accept some refugees to Brazil, expand the population base of our Chinese in Brazil, and preferably migrate on a large scale, to change our population from a minority to a majority in some areas. Looking at the current government's approach, I believe that the government will soon begin to promote real democratic elections, and population means votes. As long as there are votes, the status of our Chinese will also be improved quickly. Fang Lang will not tell everyone that he knows that China will still be in chaos for a few years in the future, so he wants to save some people, reduce some casualties, and expand the proportion of Chinese in Brazil. It's right to expand our Chinese population. If our population is larger than that of the Japanese, we won't be as passive as in the early stage. Someone said in the crowd. But the motherland is so far away from us. The cost of transportation is very high. We don't have so much money to carry out large-scale immigration. Another person said. Yes. After people come, we have to arrange for a living. With our current strength, we can't settle people if they come. Yes. Although the current population of Sao Paulo is not particularly large, if we immigrate here on a large scale, will it cause resentment from others? What are you thinking? The Brazilian government still welcomes immigrants, but if we want to expand the population in Sao Paulo to a level that can influence votes in the future, it may not be realistic. Maybe we need to move the main battlefield. The discussions below reached Fang Lang's ears. Fang Lang was prepared. He knew that when there are many people, there will be many ideas and mouths. Often, many things fail before they even start because of this situation. Therefore, Fang Lang's idea is that everyone can establish an organization. It cannot be called a party. It is best to be secret, just like the Skull and Bones Society and Freemasonry in the United States, which control everything in secret. But he will definitely not bring it up here directly. He can only observe silently, combine his original memory, and examine each person to see which people can be absorbed. First of all, the elderly are definitely not enough. People who are young and strong and can do things are needed. However, the discussion of everyone annoyed Fang Zinshu. He was a man who would not talk too much if he could take action. So, seeing everyone discussing endlessly, he got angry and shouted, "What are you arguing about? You all have such ideas. Why didn't you bring them up before? Now that Lanja has brought them up, you are excited, right? If you keep arguing, get out. Lanja, just tell me what we should do. From now on, my gang will listen to your command. We will do whatever you say." Fang Zinshu is a devil, and he is doing well in Sao Paulo, so he has a lot of prestige among young people. After hearing what Fang Zinshu said, everyone gradually calmed down and looked at Fang Lang again, waiting to see what he could do. Some things are too complicated for me to say directly here. I can only say that I have an idea in my mind, and I have already started to implement it. This time I came back, and I also wanted to recruit some of my own people to participate in this work. I wonder if there are people in the families of the elders who are willing to do something for us Chinese. They must be people who really want to change the situation of us Chinese. We don't need a lot of people now, but they must be capable and dare to fight. If they are sure to participate, arrange for them to come to my house to find me tomorrow night. Everyone was a little disappointed when they heard Fang Lang's words. Many people even felt that Fang Lang was hiding something and was not straightforward. He didn't trust his own people. Fang Lang didn't mind because he needed people who could completely listen to his command, not an old man who came to give advice and put on airs. Fang Lang's grandfather Fang Jiayang was also a little disappointed when he heard Fang Lang's words. He originally thought that he could get the whole village to participate so that these old people could still play their remaining heat. but seeing that his eldest grandson obviously had his own ideas and opinions, although he was a little disappointed, he also felt relieved at the same time. His grandson had grown up and had his own ideas. He also said quickly, since Lanja has already made his own plans and ideas, let's go back and talk to the young people at home to see how many people are willing to participate. Come to our house tomorrow night. We old guys are old, so we won't participate, but we will definitely pay attention to the whole process. Okay, everyone disperse. As the only few elderly people left in the village, he has a relatively high prestige in the village. Because Brazil does not have the so-called grassroots elected officials such as village heads, many things are decided by several elderly people after discussion, which is equivalent to the village council. Because of the prestige of the old man's great-grandfather, and because he made some contributions to the village when he was young, the old man has a lot of prestige among the elderly in the village, which is equivalent to half of the village speaker. When everyone saw the old man speak, they stopped talking and said that they would go home to discuss with their families and arrange for the younger generation of their families to come tomorrow. Some smart people in the village have seen Fang Lang's intention, which is to establish a group with Fang Lang as the core to implement his ideas, but they themselves don't have any good ideas, and they can't participate in it to get a share of the pie, so they can only return in disappointment. After the villagers left one after another, Fang Xinshu pulled Fang Lang and said, "Good boy, I haven't seen you for 2 years. Now you are really promising. I don't care. You must count me in for this kind of thing. I'm old, but I'm not as clear as you." The father, who had been hiding in the back and didn't say a word, also spoke at this time. Lanja's idea makes sense. When there are too many people, many things will spread everywhere. If the government knows that we want to help immigrants come, they will not have any objections, but those Japanese will not be willing. At that time, they will definitely set up many obstacles. It's better for fewer people to know. Seeing that the only people left at home were his family members, Fang Lang stopped hiding his secret and said, "Actually, what I just said were all things on the surface. What I really want to do is to set up a secret Chinese organization, different from the gang, founded by my uncle. It's a secret organization that will be able to infiltrate all areas of Brazil in the future, control the direction of some national policies, and even presidential elections. Because as far as I know, there are such organizations in the United States. Their power is very large. Almost every American president is one of their people. They control the United States politics, economy, military, culture, and the way people live. It can be said that they are the shadow government of the United States, but they rarely come to the fore. I hope that we can't say that we can be like them, but at least we can ensure that we have a pivotal position in Brazil, can protect the interests of us Chinese in Brazil, and provide necessary help to the motherland when there is an opportunity." Hearing Fang Lang's words, everyone was stunned. They didn't expect that he would have such a lofty goal. Fang Xinshu said excitedly, "Lanja, my gang is a joke compared to yours. Just wait, I will go back and disband my gang today and come back to join your organization. If we have the opportunity to control the presidential election in the future, it will be really awesome. Uncle, don't worry. In fact, gangs have their advantages. Although Brazil will develop rapidly in the next few years, the political situation will be very chaotic. By then, we will have many things that are inconvenient to deal with, and we can use the gangs to deal with them. An organization must have dark places where there is light, so we can not only not disband your gang, but also expand the scale of your gang as the number of Chinese people increases. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Uncle's Cigarette Factory. Okay, since you think our gang is very useful, I won't disband it for now. He raised his eyebrow at his old man, as if to say, let's see if you still say I'm messing around. Now it's alright, right? Your grandson said my gang is very important. Uncle, I don't know what your gang is called, and what are the rules of the gang. Fang Lang was also a little curious about his uncle's gang. Our gang is called Zinshu Gang. There are more than 20 people. What gang rules are there? And I have the final say on everything. Fang Zinshu's answer made Fang Lang speechless. Uncle, since you are in the gang, I wonder if you have heard of Hangman. No. What is Hangman? Hangman originated from an antiquing and restoration organization in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties. After so many years of development, it is now a huge organization with tens of thousands of gang members around the world, and it played an important role in the establishment of the Republic of China in the late Qing and early Ming dynasties. So awesome. Of course, Hangman has strict gang rules and many gang members, and the gang I want is a gang organization similar to Hangman. There must be rules and goals. Once you join the gang, you can no longer leave, and if you make a mistake you must be punished. Only in this way can the gang have combat effectiveness. And our organization can also hide behind the gang and become a real secret organization. I understand what you mean. Then tell me specifically what to do. I will go back and make it clear to the brothers. If he continues to work with us, we will stay. If he doesn't want to, let him leave. Fang Zinshu was very straightforward. In this way, Fang Lang introduced the history of Hangman and the initiation ceremony of Hangman to Fang Zinshu, and told him the 10 prohibitions of Hangman, the punishment methods of Hangman, etc. As long as Fang Lang had heard of it, he explained it to Fang Zinshu one by one, and told him a lot of traitors and influential events in the history of Hangman, hoping that he could learn from it. After all, in Fang Lang's plan, the gang is a very important part. After talking about Hangman, Fang Lang even introduced some situations and rules of the Italian mafia to him. Fang Zinshu was fascinated by what he heard, benefited a lot, and was full of energy in his heart. The old man, father, brother and others beside him were stunned. They never thought that a gang would have so many ways and sayings, especially when they heard that the Italian mafia had its own specially trained lawyers. In this way, the conversation ended until the mother notified everyone to have dinner. Originally, Mr. Fang was going to invite a few elderly people to come over and chat while eating, but there were too many people. Fang Lang's mother alone could not prepare the food for so many people, so Fang Lang asked everyone to disperse, and he did not keep them to eat. But during the meal, another guest came to the house, Fang Lang's uncle Yang Zhang. Because Yang Zhang lived in downtown Sao Paulo, he did not have time to rush over at that time. Seeing Yang Zhang coming, Fang Lang was also very happy, because Yang Zhang was an important part of his plan to come back this time. Several people chatted about family matters while eating. After the meal, when everyone was sitting in the living room chatting, Fang Lang directly said, "Uncle, I wonder how the business of the cigarette factory at home is now." Alas. Everyone knows that the business of the cigarette factory has always been sluggish, and the sales volume is not high. It can't be sold. It's a headache. When the uncle mentioned the cigarette factory, he began to sigh. "Uncle, how much does your current cigarette factory produce every day? Do you have a lot of inventory? How dare we release production? We can't digest the inventory, and we dare not produce too much. The more we produce, the more serious the loss will be. There is still a full warehouse of inventory. The inventory alone has locked up all my working capital. I don't smoke, so I want to ask, is there any difference between the taste of our cigarettes and American cigarettes? Why are American cigarettes more expensive to buy, but their sales are better than ours? If there is a difference, there is still a little bit. Generally speaking, the taste is not as mellow as their cigarettes. But the difference is not particularly big." After hearing what his uncle said, Fang Lang had an idea in his mind. With the current cigarette making process, many of the following technologies should not have been applied yet. "Uncle, do you add ingredients and flavors to your tobacco during the manufacturing process?" "What do you mean by adding ingredients and flavors?" This is really not the case. Yang Zhang was full of questions after hearing his nephew's words. What else should be added to cigarettes? What kind of fragrance? And Fang Lang knew our American cigarettes were more fragrant than those made by his uncle when he heard his uncle's answer. Apparently, American cigarettes now have learned to add ingredients. Fang Lang still remembered the manufacturing process of modern cigarettes that he saw when he was watching videos on the boat, and he couldn't help but feel happy. It seems that there is a chance to make the cigarette factory bigger and stronger. How about this? Uncle, I will go to your factory tomorrow morning to see your inventory and production process. At that time, I will invest in you to expand the scale of the cigarette factory and make our cigarette factory bigger and stronger. I say, Lanja, don't mess around. The current cigarette factory is a chicken rib. I can't hurt you. Don't mess around. If the money you earn is wasted, your mother will kill me. Haha. Don't worry, uncle, all your inventory is handed over to me. I will arrange a ship to transport it for you directly. I have a way to sell it. I also have a way to make our cigarettes unique. At that time, our cigarettes will definitely be sold all over the world. At that time, uncle, don't regret letting me invest and hold shares. Fang Lang laughed when he heard Yang Zong's words. Yang Zong was overjoyed when he heard that Fang Lang could take away all his inventory. He stood up excitedly and overturned the stool behind him. Lanja, are you serious? If you can take away all my inventory, I will give you the factory directly. Why do you need to invest? The family looked at Fang Lang in surprise. They didn't expect Fang Lang to say that he would take over all of his uncle's inventory and invest in expanding his cigarette factory. Uncle, I can't take advantage of you. When the time comes, you can ask your company's financial department to calculate your company's assets and see how much they are worth. I want to see how much money I can invest. What's there to calculate? I've been looking for a buyer. Some time ago, a buyer offered me $10,000 and didn't want my inventory. What I want is a package price of $50,000. If you can really digest all of my inventory, I will give you the factory. No kidding. Yang Zong looked serious. The factory only has $40,000 in inventory. The quantity may not be enough. I don't know if there are other cigarette factories nearby. I now have 4 5,000 ton cargo ships. This little inventory is not enough for me to transport. Fang Lang's words shocked the whole family. Father Fang Xinshan spoke first. Lanja, do you mean that you have signed transportation contracts with 4 ships? Fang Lang understood what his father meant and did not hide it. He said directly, I set up a global trade co. limited in the United States. The company bought 3 ships in Italy, plus a transport ship I commanded. They are all in Rio now. I plan to wait 2 days and ask the company's transport ship to go to Saundersport, load all the cigarettes, and transport them to Italy. At the current wholesale price of Brazilian cigarettes, if I buy such a large quantity, it should be about 10 cents a pack, so my profit will reach 50 times. This time I plan to come here to purchase goods worth $400,000. The funds are ready. I can't do without goods. Son, where do you get so much money? Fang Lang's mother said anxiously. Of course it was earned by your son. If we don't have so much money, how can we carry out our plan? I'm already prepared for the end of the war. We must at least expand the company's fleet to more than 50 ships. If each ship can transport 500 people, my fleet can transport 25,000 people at a time. At the current speed of the fleet, it can only make a round trip every 2 months. In 1 year, we can make the number of Chinese in Brazil exceed that of the Japanese. In 3 to 4 years, we can make the Chinese population occupy a place in one continent. Then we will use this continent as a base and begin to radiate to the whole of Brazil. By then, we Chinese will gradually have enough influence. Fang Lang's words were unbelievable to his family. They didn't expect Fang Lang to make so much money so quickly. Chapter 29 Media Layout. Fang Lang's words made his family happy and shocked. The first to react was Fang Lang's uncle Yang Zong, who quickly said, Lanja, with $400,000 worth of cigarettes, you will clear out all the stocks of several cigarette factories in Sao Paulo. 2 of the small factories are in a similar situation to your uncle's. Since you can digest so many cigarettes, I don't know if your sales will be stable in the future. If you can guarantee a stable sales channel, I suggest that you don't clear their inventory directly. You can merge our 3 factories in the form of purchasing factories at a package price. Wouldn't you be able to achieve the expansion you want in 1 step? Fang Lang thought it made sense when he heard it. Then I wonder if my uncle can help to handle this matter, because I have some other things to do these days. When the time comes, I will definitely entrust you to manage the factory. You must know the specific price better than me, and it will definitely be better for you to negotiate than for me. No, I can't go alone. I'm your uncle, but one of the factories is mine. How can I do it all by myself? If you don't have time, why don't you ask your father to come forward, and I'll be there to help him? Isn't that enough? Yang Zhang was still thinking that, although he was an uncle, and it was okay to help his nephew, it would be bad if he did everything by himself. Fang Lang glanced at his uncle, then at his father, and said, since your uncle said so, do you have time to deal with it? In fact, Fang Lang could see his father's intentions from his eager expression, but he was his father after all, so he had to hand him a ladder. Should he let his father take the initiative? By then, others would think that his father was trying to seize his power. Since you have other things to do, then go ahead and do them. I can still help you with this little thing. I'll go with your uncle to take care of the cigarette factory these 2 days, the father said with a casual expression. But Fang Lang believed that his father should still be a little happy and excited at the moment. After all, he had $400,000 to spend, and he had never had the opportunity to acquire a factory in his life. However, his father looked at the problem in the long term and had his own ideas. He said, after the factory is acquired, what are you going to do? I heard that you just said that you have some ideas about the manufacturing process of cigarettes. Is it the latest technology of Americans now? It turned out that Fang Lang always thought that his father was an old-fashioned person who didn't know how to adapt. But after coming back today, through today's communication, Fang Lang found out whether his original body had any misunderstandings and prejudices about his father. Fang Lang didn't see where his father was conservative and feudal. Instead, he found many excellent qualities in him. Dad, you're right. In the manufacturing of cigarettes, Americans now smoke the tobacco leaves and ferment them in a constant temperature and humidity environment for 3 years. They also add ingredients and flavors before shredding. The main method of adding ingredients is to add sugar, white vinegar, and white wine for drying. After drying, they will add flavors again. As for what spices to add, we need to experiment ourselves. After the flavoring is completed, they will add ingredients again, usually adding wine, honey, white sugar and the like for rehumidification. After rehumidification, the tobacco will be quickly rebaked in high temperature and high pressure hot air at about 200 degrees, and then they will start rolling. The cigarettes produced in this way will have both a sweet taste and their own unique fragrance. In the future, when we develop filter tips, we don't have to worry about our cigarettes not being able to open up the market. After hearing Fang Lang's introduction, the family thought that Fang Lang had obtained the latest cigarette manufacturing technology from the United States, but they didn't know that these were what Fang Lang saw in the videos of later generations. Whether it is suitable or the effect is still to be confirmed. But if the experiment is successful, Fang Lang is confident that his cigarettes can open up the market all over the world. Especially the appearance of the filter tip is worth writing about. Everyone's confidence is also greatly increased, no longer worried that Fang Lang is willful. Only Uncle Fang Zinshu pursed his lips and said, what's the point of these cigarettes? We are now selling hemp leaves, which is much more addictive than your cigarettes. Fang Lang was shocked when he heard his uncle's words and hurriedly said, Uncle, don't smoke it yourself. This thing is a drug and it is highly addictive. Haha. Don't worry, Langja, the uncles have been taught by your great-grandfather since childhood and know the power of opium and other things. How could I touch these things? Isn't this what other people like? We are also middlemen, otherwise the gang would have no source of income and would have been finished long ago. Fang Zinshu raised his hand and waved, saying with disgust, that's good. From now on, you have to make the rules of your gang clear. If any gang member takes addictive drugs, he will be stabbed 3 times, and pierced 6 times, and forced to quit drug rehabilitation. If it happens again, next time you will cut off his hand and force him to quit drug rehabilitation. If it happens for the 3rd time, this person is no longer needed. Fang Lang said these cruel words with a stern face, which made the family members tremble. They didn't expect Fang Lang to be so cruel. Uncle Fang Zinshu frowned slightly and said, Langja, isn't this too cruel? We are all brothers. Before his uncle could finish, Fang Lang interrupted him. Uncle, we are going to do great things. You must understand that you cannot stand firm without a ruthless heart. As the saying goes, a merciful man cannot command an army, and a righteous man cannot make money. And we are doing this for the good of our brothers. Once you get involved in this kind of thing, there will be no bottom line. There are many cases of wives and children being separated, and families being destroyed. Do you have the heart to let your brothers end up like this? Not to mention the family. If our opponents know that there are such drug addicts among our people, then with just a few tricks, we will have no secrets from the enemy. If that happens, and other brothers are implicated, are you willing to take this responsibility? Fang Zinshu didn't say anything for a long time, after listening to Fang Lang's words. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, he sighed and said, "We brothers originally came together based on loyalty. No wonder we have always been just a small gang. I have always felt that the reason why our Chinese population is not enough, but what Lanja told me today forced me to re-examine myself. Lanja, don't worry, your uncle won't hold you back. I will go back now to gather all the brothers and set our rules. In the future, we will also learn from the hangman. If there are those who don't want to participate, let them leave in advance. Don't let the brothers turn against each other. I'm leaving first, and I'll come back tomorrow night." After saying that, he stood up and left without looking back. Uncle Yangzang also stood up and said, "I'm going back first. Brother-in-law, remember to come to me tomorrow morning, and we'll go to all the cigarette factories together." After saying that, he also waved and left. After all the relatives left, the younger brother Fang Tao secretly ran to Fang Lang and said, "Brother, is it true that you want to buy a newspaper?" Fang Lang looked at his brother's expectant and nervous eyes, and couldn't help laughing. "Why, little boy, you want to be the boss of a newspaper at such a young age? Didn't you tell me yourself that you wanted to acquire a newspaper?" Fang Tao felt a little embarrassed by his brother's look. After all, he was just a college student who had not graduated yet, and he certainly did not have the ability to manage a newspaper. But since his brother really wanted to set up a newspaper, he would not have to go out to find a job in the future. In addition, what his brother said today really excited him, and he was a little excited and wanted to help his brother. If you really want to be the boss, it's not impossible, but first you have to learn to think independently and have your own judgment. If you always follow the crowd, I will hand over the newspaper to you, and it will fail soon. In addition, if I run a newspaper, it must be our mouthpiece. If it involves matters related to us Chinese, you must choose to stand on our side. If you only think about maintaining the authenticity of the news, you don't have to consider continuing to do this business. You won't be able to do it for long. Except for matters involving ourselves, my requirement is to be impartial and only announce the facts, but not to stand on a clear side, especially when it comes to some sensitive political topics. There must be no guiding reports. Be fair, just, and open within a limited range. Fang Lang educated his younger brother with a serious face, and stated his requirements for the newspaper. Chapter 30 Police Chief. Listening to his brother Fang Lang's request for the newspaper, Fang Tao said in astonishment, "Brother, isn't it too early for you to tell me this now? We don't even have a shadow of the newspaper yet. This is your first task. You should hurry up and find out in the next few days whether there are any newspapers in Sao Paulo that are willing to sell. If not, we should consider building a new newspaper ourselves, and you should also think about how to recruit employees for the newspaper." Fang Lang arranged the task casually. After all, this task was not imminent, and it didn't matter if it could wait. Okay, don't bother your brother. You've been on a boat and a plane, and you haven't had a rest. It's getting dark. Let your brother go to rest quickly. If there is anything, we'll talk about it tomorrow. In the end, the mother loved her son the most. Nothing was more important than her son's health. When everyone heard what their mother Yang Zia said, they also spoke up, asking Fang Lang to rest early and wait until tomorrow to talk about anything. Fang Lang slept particularly well that night. I don't know if it was because he returned to his real home or because he was exhausted from all the tossing along the way. Fang Lang slept soundly, but others did not. Almost everyone who participated in today's rally could not sleep after returning home. Even Fang Lang's father had difficulty falling asleep for a long time. He could not recognize his son's change. The son who used to be impulsive and reckless, who preferred to use his hands rather than his brain, has become a mature man who has a clear understanding of the international situation and has a goal, method and organization in doing things. This makes Fang Lang, as a father, both happy and distressed. He did not know how much his son had suffered outside in the past 2 years to have such a life experience and such a big change. What Fang Lang did not know was that Captain Blackwell, who sent him home, did not return to the barracks after leaving his home, but drove directly to the Sao Paulo City Police Department and found the police chief. Haha. Captain Blackwell, coming quickly. How come you have time to come and sit with me today? Chief Sebastião Hodges stood up and greeted him with a smile on his face. Sebastião Hodges is the chief of the Sao Paulo Police Department. He is a Portuguese white man. He is very short among white people. He is less than 1.7 meters tall, and his slightly protruding belly makes him look very inconsistent. Good afternoon, Chief Hodges. I'm here today for some official business. I need to communicate with you. Captain Blackwell also smiled. It is obvious that they are very familiar with each other. After all, he is the garrison commander and the police chief, both of whom are in charge of the armed forces of Sao Paulo. Oh, what do you need? You can go there in person. It can be done with just one phone call. Come. Sit here. Someone, pour 2 cups of coffee. Chief Hodges very politely invited Captain Blackwell to sit in the reception area and turned to tell the secretary outside the door. This time I received an order from my superiors to go to the airport to pick up an Expeditionary Force combat hero and bring him home. I also received clear instructions from my superiors to ensure the safety of this lieutenant during his stay in Sao Paulo. If anyone behaves unfriendly toward our comrades, our garrison will be authorized to take all necessary measures to eliminate the security risks. Captain Blackwell said with a serious face and a burning gaze staring at Chief Hodges. When Chief Hodges heard what Captain Blackwell said and saw him staring at him, he felt a little uneasy and said quickly, "Brother, is there any misunderstanding? This lieutenant you mentioned should not have any conflict with me. Why are you staring at me like that? Although this lieutenant has no direct conflict with you, as far as I know, his compatriots have been targeted and suppressed and bullied by another group of people some time ago, and your police station has not taken any measures to protect their interests. I came here today to remind you, I don't care what benefits your police station has received. If this kind of situation happens again, you may face the investigation of our Army and Navy military police. Believe me, you can't afford it." Captain Blackwell continued to speak slowly, words that made Chief Hodges feel like falling into an ice cave. "Brother, we are good brothers. Please tell me the name of this lieutenant. If what you said is true, I will come to apologize tomorrow morning. No matter who you said is targeting them, even if it is Satan, I will make him pay a heavy price." Director Hodges gritted his teeth and said, "This lieutenant is now a favorite of Colonel Attilio Peresi of the Expeditionary Navy. He is also very close to Colonel Teach of the Rio Naval Base. I even heard that he has a very good relationship with the American generals. This is also the reason why my superiors are so tough. I believe you can understand what I mean, right?" Captain Blackwell continued to tell the information he knew about Fang Lang bit by bit. When Director Hodges heard this, he realized that a small lieutenant had close relationships with so many military leaders and even had relationships with American generals. Doesn't this mean that, as long as the lieutenant is willing, he can even directly reflect his dissatisfaction to President Vargas? If the president knew that a Brazilian war hero had been wronged under his rule, he would not only have to consider whether he could keep his position, but also whether he could keep his head. "Brother, please tell me the name of this lieutenant. I want to visit him early tomorrow morning. I don't know if it's convenient. As for the matter you mentioned about someone targeting and bullying his compatriots, please tell me now. I will immediately send someone to arrest these damn bastards and hang them in front of the lieutenant to atone for their actions." Chief Hodges said loudly and sternly, "Don't think that it is unreasonable for a police chief to hang criminal suspects who have not been tried at every turn. Brazil at this time is in a society that is slightly equal to dictatorship, and the power of the police chief is beyond your imagination. Chief Hodges, we have a long history, so I came here to tell you this. Actually, the order I received was to wipe out these people. But this is your territory after all, and I don't want to make it difficult for you. If you can do it cleanly, then tomorrow morning, I will come and take you to visit the lieutenant. If you are slow in doing things, then I will clean up these garbage first, and then report your performance to my superiors. Do you understand what I mean? Captain Blackwell said in a slightly better tone. Captain Blackwell, please rest assured that I will show you my attitude at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning at the latest. Please tell me who these bastards are. Chief Hodges has stood up, his eyes full of ruthlessness. As the chief of police in Sao Paulo, one of the top 3 major cities in Brazil, no matter how corrupt he is, he must be capable. When this kind of person gets ruthless, someone will definitely pay the price of his life. Then Mr. Chief, I will wait for your good news. The full name of our lieutenant is Fang Lang, a Brazilian Chinese. As for who is targeting and bullying his compatriots, do I need to explain it? Captain Blackwell finally said Fang Lang's name. He believed that, if he didn't know who the bad guy he was talking about was, he would not have to be the police chief. Finally, he got the name of the lieutenant from Captain Blackwell. Chief Hodges naturally knew who the captain was talking about, who was targeting and bullying the Chinese. Although the Chinese have been bullied by many races and nationalities in Sao Paulo because of their small population, the group of people who have been targeting the Chinese the most recently are definitely the Japanese, who are from Asia like the Chinese. Maybe this group of people think that their motherland has become a powerful empire that can occupy the whole of Asia and challenge the United States. And the population in Sao Paulo has an absolute advantage over the Chinese. So before Brazil joined the Allies some time ago, they were dancing very happily. And as far as Chief Hodges knows, the Japanese have established a mafia organization in Brazil that belongs to the Japanese mainland branch, the Black Dragon Society. Although this organization has been providing him with tributes regularly, he needs them to make sacrifices now to reverse the military's dissatisfaction with him. He doesn't have to worry about any consequences when killing these little Japanese. Even if there are public protests, he can directly catch this so-called mafia organization in the name of espionage. Mr. Lieutenant is simply giving himself credit. I must thank him tomorrow. Chapter 31 Spy Organization. While the soldiers on the European battlefield were fighting in the snow and ice, Brazil, located in the southern hemisphere, welcomed a drizzle at night after a sultry day. On the dim streets, several police cars stopped at the same time at several intersections, and a group of fully armed police officers came out and surrounded the street. I emphasize again that this time we are facing Japanese spies who have stolen our important intelligence. There are many of them, so I ask you to catch them all in one fell swoop. No one can slip through the net. If any spy escapes from your defense zone, then I will arrest you and send you to the military court for espionage. Do you understand? Director Hodges' voice came out under the dim street lights. Understood, sir. Everyone accepted the order in unison. Okay, the commando will give you 5 more minutes to prepare. 5 minutes later, the attack will officially begin. The rest of you should guard your defense zone and prevent the spies from escaping. Director Hodges waved his hand to let everyone disperse and start to execute according to their respective mission objectives. After everyone dispersed, Chief Hodges' secretary quietly stood behind the chief and said, Mr. Chief, do we really want to eliminate these Japanese directly? They pay a lot every month. Is money or brains more important? If the Japanese die, we can just change a force to support them, and we won't lose our benefits. But if the Japanese don't die this time, we will die. Do you understand? Chief Hodges glanced at his secretary and whispered. He couldn't help but think that it seemed that his secretary was very close to the Japanese. It seemed that he had received a lot of benefits from the Japanese. I see, sir. Then I will go down and prepare. The secretary whispered. Well, you go down. He couldn't help but feel funny in his heart. You are a small secretary and you won't rush to the front line. What can you prepare? Time is passing by and the police commando is checking their equipment for the last time. But the Japanese community surrounded by the police is quiet and everyone has fallen asleep peacefully. Suddenly, a very abrupt phone ring sounded in the room of the director of the Black Dragon Society's Brazilian branch, waking up Kato Yungai, who was sleeping soundly. He moved away, the two white arms pressing on him, grabbed the phone, and was about to curse when he heard a hurried Portuguese voice on the phone. It happened. The police have surrounded you, and they will start a strong attack in 5 minutes. Without waiting for Kato Yungai to speak, the phone was hung up directly. Kato Yungai's dirty words were swallowed alive, and cold sweat covered his whole body. He no longer cared about the two women holding him, jumped out of the bed, grabbed the pistol on the table, ran out of the door, and shouted to the outside, "Everyone get up, take your weapons, enemy attack, enemy attack." After shouting, he went to slap the doors of the next room one by one. Some men with disheveled clothes and weapons rushed out of the next room one after another. He looked at his director with a blank face. "Oh no, go and destroy our information. Yoshikawa, go and organize everyone to get the rifles. Miyamoto, go and hide our radio. Everyone take up your weapons and prepare for battle." Kato Yungai gave orders in an orderly manner. Soon the lights in the hall began to light up, and it became noisy. When the lights came on, Chief Hodges, who was next to the police car at the intersection, was shocked and shouted that it was not good. He quickly shouted to the commando captain who was looking at him, "Action! Action! Quick! Quick!" Unexpectedly, the Japanese received the news at this time. It seems that someone in the police station tipped off. He couldn't help but curse in his heart, but cursing was useless now. The most important thing was to seize the time to break through the Japanese base camp. Soon, there was a sound of gunfire like popping beans in front of him. The whole street became lively in an instant, and the lights in the rooms of the residents next to him were constantly lit up. If there was an old soldier here, he would definitely sigh that a peaceful environment is still good. So many people dared to turn on the lights when the gunshots rang out. Aren't you afraid that you will become a target of attack? The sneak attack became a sudden attack, and the difficulty of the battle must have increased exponentially. Therefore, the police commando team was in a difficult battle from the beginning. After all, Brazil and the United States do not ban guns, so the weapons of the Black Dragon Society are no less than those of the police. The two sides fought hard and soon both sides began to suffer casualties. Chief Hodges was furious. In the afternoon, he vowed to Captain Blackwell that he would definitely let him see his attitude, but the current situation directly slapped Chief Hodges in the face. How could the chief feel embarrassed? "Don't you have any face? Everyone, go up to reinforce me. We must eradicate this Black Dragon Society today." The chief also became ruthless and mobilized all the surrounding police to start besieging the Black Dragon Society's hall. Soon the advantage of numbers began to be reflected, and the casualties of the Black Dragon Society began to increase, and people kept falling down. The police began to gain the upper hand, but at the same time, the casualties of the police were not small. At one point, some police officers even wanted to retreat. The supervision team arranged by Chief Hodges pushed back with guns. But the duration of this battle obviously exceeded Chief Hodges' expectations. The operation was originally planned to be completed within 2 hours. It was not until dawn that it gradually subsided. When Chief Hodges walked into this Japanese-style building, there were corpses lying in all directions inside, some Japanese and some policemen. Chief Hodges' eyes twitched. It seemed that he would be punished this time. It would be best if he could really find evidence that these Japanese were spies. Otherwise it would be difficult to explain. Report, Mr. Chief. 2 backbones of the Black Dragon Society are missing. No one is alive. No body is found. Maybe they ran away. A policeman came to the chief and reported. What? So many people are rounding up, and some people still escaped. Trash. Immediately, issue a city-wide wanted notice for them. Everyone, search carefully for me. Don't let go of any corner. I need to find the information stolen by these Japanese spies. Chief Hodges was so angry that he trembled all over and kicked over a low table in front of him. He couldn't help but think that it seemed that he had to hurry up and fabricate a piece of intelligence as evidence of the search. All the policemen were also holding back a ball of fire in their hearts. They didn't expect these little Japanese to be so cruel that they dared to engage in such a fierce battle with the fully armed police. They recognized from the bottom of their hearts that these Japanese were really engaged in espionage. You are not a spy. How could you have such a fierce battle with the police directly? Everyone responded in unison. Yes. Doing things is afraid of being serious. Once you are serious, sometimes people who have nothing to do can find problems for you. Not to mention that these Japanese do have something to do. Sure enough, soon the police found that the documents that had not been completely burned contained information about the transfer of troops to Brazil. There were even information about the 4 transport ships that had just arrived at the port of Rio from Italy. Someone else found a hidden military high-power telegraph, and even found a naval deployment map along the coast of Brazil in the president's office. This shocked Director Hodges, who was originally preparing to fabricate a piece of false intelligence, so much that his jaw almost dropped to the ground. It seems that we have to hurry up and go back to clean up the mess between the Japanese and ourselves. Otherwise, if he was found to have received benefits from the Japanese, he would be in big trouble. Since he could find so much real information directly in the Japanese club, his action this time would become reasonable and legal. No matter where he was asked, he would be credited. Although the attack caused a large number of casualties among the police, it was not his fault. This must be the intelligence that the spy organization's insider passed on to them, that he was about to start the attack. He must hurry up and find out the spy in the police station. This would also be a credit. As for the 2 escaped spy organization leaders, he must launch a large-scale search throughout the city. He couldn't let these 2 bastards get away. If they got away, this operation would basically be considered an unsuccessful operation. How could he get credit for this? And for the current Japanese community, the police must be sent to start residential surveillance of everyone. He didn't know how many people in it were working for the spy organization. Chapter 32 Half-cooked rice. The gunshots that rang out for most of the night did not stop until dawn. At this time, the Japanese community was already surrounded by reporters and onlookers, but they were all blocked outside the cordon by the police, who were maintaining order. The mayor of Sao Paulo and some government officials also rushed to the scene of the incident in the early morning. Mayor Mercotti Scalia ordered the staff around him to calm the emotions of the citizens and reporters while rushing to the scene of the incident. Mayor Scalia was very angry. The police did not inform the city government at all before taking action. He was also awakened from his bed by his secretary in the morning and learned that the Japanese community was surrounded by the police and took action. Gunshots rang in the middle of the night. He had no idea what was going on, which made him very angry. Therefore, he did not go back to the city government to work, but came to the scene angrily, as soon as possible, wanting to ask the police chief what was going on. When he arrived at the scene and saw the bodies all over the ground, he was shocked, especially when he saw that many police officers were killed and injured, which made him even more shocked. Seeing that Chief of Police Hodges and a group of policemen were gathered in a living room, he rushed in and said, "Hodges, what are you going to do? Why did you suddenly attack the Japanese community? Don't you police officers need to report to the city government for such a large-scale operation? Don't forget that I appointed you as the chief." Chief Hodges, who was checking the information stolen by the Japanese with the police, was startled when he heard the scolding behind him. He turned around and saw that it was Mayor Scalia. He hurriedly stepped forward and saluted. After all, this was his immediate superior, and he was also the chief of police appointed by him. He did not communicate well in this matter because of the urgency of the matter. He hurriedly said, "Mr. Mayor, this matter is really urgent, and I didn't have time to deal with it. I was going to explain the situation to you early this morning, after I finished dealing with it last night. As a result, something went wrong and the original plan was disrupted. Please come over here, and I will explain it to you." He directed Mr. Mayor to a pile of evidence. Mayor Scalia could only temporarily suppress his anger after hearing what Director Hodges said. He followed him to the table and saw many things on the table, including a radio and documents, some of which had been partially burned. Last night, Captain Blackwell of the garrison came to me and told me that a combat hero of the Expeditionary Force returned to our St. Paul yesterday. When he went to pick him up, he heard him say that he suspected that the Black Dragon Society, a gangster organization in the Japanese community, might be engaged in espionage activities. Their garrison wanted to take action. However, Considering that St. Paul belongs to my jurisdiction, they can't take action directly without going through me, so they came to inform me. But it was already very late at that time. In order to avoid more trouble, the captain and I had no time to inform you, so we could only arrange people directly and start to take action against these little Japanese. As a result, I didn't expect that these Axis bastards actually had spies in our police station, so they discovered our actions in advance, and the sneak attack they had prepared turned into a strong attack, so we caused a large number of casualties. It also let the 2 leaders escape. I'm very sorry, please punish me. Director Hodges gave a detailed report of the incident to Mayor Scalia. It was just that the matter of seeking justice for the combat hero turned into the combat hero suspecting the Japanese of engaging in espionage activities. Mayor Scalia was very shocked after hearing this and said, "These Japanese are engaged in espionage activities in Brazil. Do you have any evidence? The Japanese population in Sao Paulo is not small. If you act directly without actual evidence, it will cause strong dissatisfaction among the people. Do you understand? Now the outside is surrounded by citizens and reporters who want to know the truth. How do you want me to explain the actions of your police? Mr. Mayor, please look. All the evidence we found on the table is from the Black Dragon Society of the Japanese, as well as their high-power radio stations. These Japanese spies stole a lot of information, and many of them were destroyed when they resisted. From the information we rescued, we found the deployment map of our Brazilian Navy and the timetable of transport ships between us and the Americans. Obviously, these people have been active in Brazil for a very long time and have penetrated deeply into us. Even our police station has their spies. Therefore, I want to use the escape of 2 Japanese spies this time as an excuse to monitor all Japanese. Because the Black Dragon Society alone cannot collect so much intelligence, I seriously suspect that there are a large number of Japanese in the entire Japanese community who provide information and cover for these spies. These damn Japanese actually dared to engage in espionage activities in Brazil and infiltrated the police station. How can you be a police chief? Someone has already entered your home, and you still need someone to remind you. I need you to give me a written report, and you must catch the spy in your police station within 2 days. Now bring all the evidence with me to hold a live press conference outside. We need to give an explanation to the citizens. After understanding what happened, Mayor Scalia could only appease the citizens first, and then trouble Chief Hodges. When our Chief Hodges heard that he was asked to find the spy in the police station within 2 days, he was a little hesitant. After all, solving the case is not his ability. Flattery is fine, and corruption is fine, but asking him to investigate the case is better than asking him to find a scapegoat. But the mayor gave the order, and he had no choice but to bite the bullet and go ahead. Soon the police led the reporters to the Black Dragon Society Hall, and the mayor began to exaggerate the espionage case, from how long ago the police discovered the clues, and how they conducted a thorough investigation. After obtaining enough evidence, they launched a surprise attack on the spy den, but because the spies were strictly trained, the police suffered a serious loss. He affirmed the excellent performance of the police in cracking this major espionage case, and expressed his determination and confidence in maintaining the security and stability of Sao Paulo. Finally, he condemned the Japanese espionage behavior and expressed his indignation at all Japanese expatriates for providing convenience and intelligence to the Japanese Intelligence Department. He also said that he would report to the president and list the Japanese as an unwelcome group in Sao Paulo. If it were not for the fact that Brazil belonged to the Allies and Japan belonged to the Axis powers, the 2 countries were now in a state of war and had no embassies to each other. He might have protested at the embassy. Finally, he called on all citizens of Sao Paulo to capture the fugitive spies and promised that the city government would offer a reward of $5,000 for the 2 spies. Then, Chief Hodges gave a speech. After repeating the words of the mayor, he directly said, "Please pay attention to the Japanese around you. They may all be spies of Japanese spies." At the same time, he directly ordered the police to implement a policy of residential surveillance for all Japanese until the end of the war. The reporters below looked at the evidence in front of them and the number of Japanese who exchanged fire with the police. They were all indignant. In just one night, the Japanese in Sao Paulo will become unable to move in Sao Paulo. I believe that after the fermentation of time, the continuous reporting of newspapers, and the high reward offered by the city government, the Japanese will become street rats in Sao Paulo for a long time in the future. What happened here was something Fang Lang had never expected. He never thought that, because of Colonel Teacher's words, Captain Blackwell, who sent him home, would find the police chief, and things would develop to such a situation. However, Fang Lang would definitely be happy to see such a situation. After Chief Hodges dealt with the situation at the scene, he just returned to the police station and met Captain Blackwell, who came to find him. The captain already had a general understanding of what happened last night. He regretted it so much. If he had known that this organization was a spy organization, he would not have been so idle as to give the credit to Chief Hodges. He had to participate in it anyway, but now that the matter was done, Captain Blackwell had to see if Chief Hodges would behave. Even if he couldn't get the credit, he had to get some practical benefits. Chief Hodges, I gave you such a big gift. I don't know how you are going to thank me. Brother, I will definitely not forget you for this kind of thing. Don't worry, I have reported to the mayor that it was you who discovered the abnormality. We launched the operation together. Because your people are soldiers, it is not easy to show up directly. They are all wearing our police uniforms, so don't worry, you will definitely get a share of the credit. Hodges was also bitter in his heart. If it weren't for the spies in the police station who let the Japanese get the news in advance and caught all these spies in one fell swoop, he would not have shared his credit. However, since 2 of the spies had escaped and the operation had been leaked, he was also worried that he would not get any credit and would be punished, so he had to involve Captain Blackwell. It was a good choice to involve the captain in sharing the risk when writing the report. Although some of the credit might be shared, it was also good to share the risk. Moreover, this case was originally discovered by the captain when he suggested that he teach the Japanese a lesson. Chapter 33, Finding a Traitor. After all, it was his own bed, and he slept comfortably. Fang Lang slept until the sun was high in the sky before he got up from the bed. This might be because he had been sleeping restlessly on the ship. When Fang Lang finished washing up and went downstairs for breakfast, he found that only his mother Yang Zia was left at home. Everyone else was not at home. Even his grandfather was not at home. He didn't know what he was doing. Fang Lang didn't care. After having a leisurely breakfast, he went to the telegraph office to send a telegram to the United States and Italy to inquire about the company's current situation. According to Fang Lang's estimation, Italy should have received the second or even third batch of cigarettes from the United States. I don't know what the current income situation is. Just when Fang Lang was still enjoying the business situation on the other side of the ocean, Captain Blackwell came to visit with Director Hodges. This was agreed yesterday, so Fang Lang got up to greet him without any surprise. Under Captain Blackwell's introduction, Fang Lang and Director Hodges had a warm hug and invited him to sit down at home. Fang, there is one thing I must tell you. Last night we attacked the Black Dragon Society and the Japanese community, Captain Blackwell said solemnly. Fang Lang was shocked. What's going on? Black Dragon Society? Is it the Black Dragon Society I know? He said calmly. Oh, thank you. You are so kind, brother. I don't know how to thank you. It's nothing. I'm also following Colonel Teacher's orders, but we found some other situations. Captain Blackwell's eyes were full of excitement. Other situations? Fang Lang's heart moved. It can't be such a coincidence. It would be interesting if the Black Dragon Society in Brazil also engaged in espionage activities like in the motherland. But even if Fang Lang had an idea in his mind, he couldn't say it out. What if it wasn't about this? Wouldn't it be embarrassing to say it out? Yes, let Mr. Director Hodges explain this to you. He is the person involved, Captain Blackwell said, pointing at Director Hodges. Lieutenant Fang, although this is the first time we meet, you gave me a big gift this time. I must thank you very much. Director Hodges laughed. Oh. Director Hodges, I didn't give you any gifts. Even if you received something, it must be a treasure you found yourself, right? It was obvious from the tone of the two people that it must be a good thing, but Fang Lang didn't want to share any credit from them. It's better to keep a low profile now. Hodges and Blackwell smiled at each other. Chief Hodges laughed and said, okay. Even if I found it myself, I will definitely give you a gift when the time comes. Haha. Captain Blackwell also said, Fang may not care much about such a small matter, so Mr. Chief, don't keep it a secret. It's better to tell him quickly to make Fang happy. Haha. When we raided the Black Dragon Club last night, we accidentally discovered that the Black Dragon Club was actually a spy organization. It's a pity that they bribed our police station's people, so we couldn't catch them all in one fell swoop, and 2 leaders escaped. Fang Lang heard it, and it was indeed the case. It seems that the Black Dragon Club is a gangster in public, but secretly a spy for the Japanese government. Fang Lang was not surprised that the Japanese could bribe the police station. This kind of infiltration is not seen too much in TV and movies in later generations. What? These Japanese are spies? Damn it, have you found the 2 Japanese who escaped? Fang Lang said in surprise. Fang, don't worry. These 2 Japanese can't get away. The Sao Paulo city government has offered a reward of $5,000 for these 2 Japanese spies. The streets are now full of their photos. Believe me, they can't get away. Director Hodges seemed very confident. He believed in the charm of money. With all the people in Sao Paulo looking for them, no one could escape. Fang Lang felt that Director Hodges had obviously underestimated the difference between professional spies and ordinary citizens. Fang Lang was almost sure that it would not be so easy for Director Hodges to catch these 2 Japanese spies. But he certainly couldn't say that. It seemed that he had to remind his compatriots that there were only so many Asians in Sao Paulo. Now the Japanese must be the focus of attention. It's possible that these 2 Japanese will disguise themselves as Chinese and hide among the Chinese. Then congratulate Director Hodges in advance and catch these 2 fish that slipped through the net as soon as possible. He also bowed his hands. The 2 looked at Fang Lang's actions and were stunned. They didn't quite understand what he meant, but Director Hodges still understood what Fang Lang said. Haha. These are all trivial matters. What's bothering me now is that the mayor asked me to find the person who tipped off the Japanese within 2 days. These damn spies are really abominable. We have no experience in counter-espionage and have no idea where to start. Director Hodges was still confident at first, but when he talked about the spies within his own ranks, he had a headache. Obviously, he had no idea how to catch the spies hidden within his own ranks. Fang Lang thought, doesn't Brazil have its own intelligence agency? Why would your police station need to check on its own for such a thing? However, Fang Lang thought about the unknown Brazilian intelligence agency in later generations, and he had a bottom line in his heart. It is estimated that the current Brazilian intelligence agency may not be established. Even if it is established, it is estimated that it is not much different from the police. It is simply hard to describe. Thinking about the spy war TV, movies, and novels that he has watched, he wants to see if he can help Director Hodges in front of him. If he can, he may gain a close friend. We Chinese have an old saying, 3 cobblers are better than 1 Zhuge Liang. Why don't you tell us what happened at that time, and Captain Blackwell and I will help you think of a solution. Cobblers? Zhuge Liang? What is this? Both of them had black question mark faces. Don't worry about this, it's too troublesome to introduce it. Just tell us about the situation at that time, and we will help you think of ideas together. Fang Lang also had a black line on his face. What Chinese proverbs were he talking about with 2 foreigners? Hodges did not hide it, and gave a detailed description of the situation at the scene. Fang Lang and Captain Blackwell listened quietly, and began to think. You mean, when you arrived at the scene, the enemy didn't notice it? It was within 5 minutes after the mission was arranged that the lights in the enemy's room were lit one by one, right? Fang Lang spoke first. That's right. Hodges remembered this very clearly. Are you sure you didn't tell others about the mission target before arriving at the scene? That's right. Then first of all, we can be sure that the spy is among the group of people at the scene, right? Why? Hodges looked puzzled. Blackwell also looked at Fang Lang curiously. This made Fang Lang unable to complain. Such a simple reasoning. Did he have to explain it himself? Because the enemy only discovered it in the last 5 minutes before your action. Others didn't know the mission target and couldn't warn you. Yes, that makes sense. I understand. Director Hodges slapped his forehead and said. Seeing that Fang Lang didn't continue, Director Hodges said, then what? Fang Lang looked at Director Hodges with an anxious expression, thinking that he already knew who it was. But he asked, "Then what? There are only so many of you on the scene. You can check who has the opportunity to leave alone to report the news, or check how the Japanese received the information, so you can find out who notified them, right?" Captain Blackwell interrupted. Hearing Blackwell's words, Director Hodges fell into deep thought, carefully recalling the situation at the time. The question of who had the opportunity to leave alone directly helped him lock his target on his secretary, because he remembered that his secretary had advised him not to attack the Japanese after arranging the task, saying that the Japanese had given him a lot of benefits. After he refused, he seemed to say that he was going to do something. Then he left for a while. Now that he thought about it, he should have gone to tip off the Japanese. As for how the Japanese received the information, there was no need to investigate it at all, because the Japanese were surrounded by heavy forces, and it was impossible for anyone to rush in to tip off. It could only be outside, and there was only a phone outside to notify the other party. Then he would check the telephone bureau and find out. Thinking of this, Director Hodges stood up suddenly. "Fang, I think I know who it is. I'm going back to catch him now. I'll visit you again after I'm done." Obviously, Director Hodges was not stupid. He just had no experience in such spy cases and had no direction for handling the case. After the two reminded him, he immediately thought of who was the most suspicious. Chapter 34 Recruiting. I suggest that, if you have a suspect, don't alert him first. You can try to play the long game and catch a big fish. Maybe you will get an unexpected reward. Fang Lang saw that Chief Hodges already had a suspect and was about to arrest him, so he quickly reminded him. When Chief Hodges heard this, Fang Lang's words immediately made sense, and he was no longer in a hurry to go back to catch the spy. If he could discover more spies through this spy, I believe the mayor would not have any objections. "Fang, you are right. You have helped me a lot this time. Yesterday Blackwell told me that your compatriots were targeted and humiliated by the Japanese in St. Paul. As the police chief, I failed to do anything. It was my dereliction of duty. Don't worry, from today on, the Japanese will become an unwelcome group in St. Paul. I will ask all police to place them under residential surveillance and make it difficult for them to move in St. Paul." This is the main purpose of Chief Hodges' visit this time. He hopes that Fang Lang can apologize for the fact that the St. Paul Police Department failed to stand up and deal with the bullying of the Chinese community in the past. Fang Lang understood that if it wasn't for Colonel Titch telling Captain Blackwell to take care of his safety, what happened last night wouldn't have happened, not to mention the director's visit today to apologize. It seems that Brazil is a country that is more authoritarian, and the bureaucracy is very serious. It's not wrong for me to choose to stay in the army. After all, Brazil will have a 21-year period of military dictatorship. Only by holding power in the army can I ensure that the interests of Chinese compatriots in Brazil will not be violated. Haha, Director Hodges, what are you talking about? We are friends, and friends should understand each other. Let the original thing go. But I hope we can always be friends in the future, and be good friends. How about it? Fang Lang stood up and shook hands cordially with Director Hodges. "Okay, good friend, Fang, we are good friends from now on. If you need my help, please don't hesitate. I will spare no effort to help you." Haha. "Hodges, my friend, if I need your help, I will not hesitate. But you can rest assured that we Chinese will never let our friends help us for nothing." The two laughed tacitly. At noon, Fang Lang kept Chief Hodges and Captain Blackwell at home and had a hearty lunch with Fang Lang's family and introduced his family to the two friends one by one. Especially Fang Lang's uncle Fang Zinshu, who knew Chief Hodges, but their relationship was not very close. However, after Fang Lang's introduction, Chief Hodges directly stated that if Fang Zinshu had any problems in the future, he could go to the police station to find him directly or call him. There was nothing he couldn't handle. He just didn't directly say that he would be Fang Zinshu's umbrella in the future. After the guests left, the family members were curious about why Fang Lang knew so many big shots. For ordinary Chinese families, the garrison commander and the chief of police in Sao Paulo can indeed be considered very big figures. Fang Lang smiled and said that he would be an even bigger figure in the future. This made his family members roll their eyes at him. In the afternoon, Fang Lang wandered around the village to relax while thinking about what to do tonight. He thought about it for a long time. Now he can only recruit people to do things for him. He can't expose his goals directly. After all, to establish a secret organization, you have to do it secretly. You have to examine the beliefs, abilities, and loyalty of each member before you can invite him. If you just set up an organization without thinking about it, it will take less than 2 days for the whole of Sao Paulo to know about it. So, when many young people in the village came to Fang Lang's house at night, Fang Lang said that he wanted to recruit some crew members of Global Trade Co. Limited and train his own captain. At that time, he would run the route from Brazil to the motherland. He hoped that those who were interested would come to report to him. This caused dissatisfaction among many villagers, who thought that it was a major matter concerning the interests of all Chinese people. As a result, they came to recruit crew members. Many people turned around and left with curses. Fang Lang didn't care at all. He was even a little relieved in his heart. Fortunately, he didn't directly express his intention to establish a Chinese organization. Otherwise, given the situation of these people, they would be called out soon after coming in. What secrets would this organization have? However, Fang Lang still recruited more than 20 people, 3 of whom were Fang Lang's childhood friends. The reason why Fang Lang was able to recruit so many people was not that it was difficult to find a job in Brazil. Brazil was in a period of rapid economic development during this period, and there was a lack of human resources. Therefore, many people who came here this time actually had jobs. But to be honest, the welfare benefits of Brazilian workers during this period were very poor. Not to mention the working hours of more than 12 hours, the wages were pitifully low. The monthly wages of ordinary production workers were less than $20. This is also the reason why Brazilian President Vargas founded the Labour Party in March. He hoped to expand his political influence by establishing the Labour Party and improving the treatment of workers. Unfortunately, as the head of a dictatorial government, he began to let go of his power and hoped to use his influence to change Brazil's political ecology. It was obviously too naive. However, the current president is still far away from Fang language. What he can do is to give his compatriots a high salary of $50 a month plus additional subsidies for going to sea to attract everyone to join his company. Although he will not tell everyone that this is his own company, many people will definitely know who the real boss behind this company is in the future. Notify everyone to go home and prepare. After boarding the ship at Santos port a week later, let everyone go home. Grandpa didn't understand why Fang Lang didn't organize everyone to form a Chinese organization of their own as he said. But he didn't ask because he knew that his eldest grandson was now a very opinionated person. He was old and had to believe in the abilities of young people. The next morning, Fang Lang sent a telegram to notify the 3 cargo ships in Rio de Janeiro to set sail for Santos port, and sent telegrams to the branches in Italy and the United States to understand the current situation of the company. Mr. Cohens, who was being harassed by the Gambino family for urging him to deliver goods, sent a long telegram as soon as he received Fang Lang's message. In general, the cigarette market was very hot. Mr. Bojan Gambino hoped to expand the supply, saying that with the fierce battle, cigarettes were in short supply. At the same time, Mr. Cohens also expressed his concern that the company had only one downstream distributor, Gambino. Fang Lang did not expect that in such a short period of time, the Gambino family would take away more than $3 million worth of cigarettes from global trade. It seemed that he had to speed up the transportation of cigarettes. As for Mr. Cohens' consideration of adding new downstream distributors, Fang Lang replied directly and asked Mr. Cohens to find downstream distributors of other products in Italy. Cigarettes were still left to the Gambino family to operate, which was a plan discussed in advance. At the same time, Cohens was also asked to develop downstream distributors of cigarettes in France and Germany. He said that he would soon have cigarettes worth $20 million to be shipped from Brazil. He was worried that too much quantity would affect the price of cigarettes. Cohens listed a long list of commodities that are now scarce in Italy, mainly daily necessities, mainly grain, oil, sugar, and seasonings. However, the profits of these commodities are obviously not as high as cigarettes. However, agriculture is a pillar industry of Brazil, and these products are also urgently needed by European countries after the war. He must plan ahead and have the ability to process these commodities while having strong transportation capabilities. So in the next few days, Fang Lang started a crazy investment and acquisition activity. Through Director Hodges, he met Mayor Scalia. After learning that Fang Lang was going to invest tens of millions of dollars in Sao Paulo on behalf of global trade of the United States, the entire municipal government began to help Fang Lang launch acquisition activities. In total, he acquired 3 cigarette factories, 2 sugar factories, a grain and oil processing plant, and a newspaper for Fang language. Because they were all small factories, after the acquisition, Fang Lang directly expressed the hope that the municipal government could sell a piece of land for Fang Lang to build a larger factory area and purchase more advanced equipment from the United States to build a more advanced factory, and then centrally manage it. The city government was overjoyed and immediately began to replan the city, converting a 10,000-hectare piece of land near the port of Santos in downtown Sao Paulo into industrial land, and began to resettle the residents on the land. To thank the city government for its support, Fang Xinshu, under the instruction of Fang Lang, established a real estate development company to build resettlement communities for all the relocated households. However, in addition to using the land in the resettlement communities to resettle the relocated residents, the development company was allowed to develop real estate projects on its own. The city government readily agreed and tripled the size of the original resettlement area. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Influence. On the last day of the holiday, Fang Lang watched 3 cargo ships loaded with goods and set off with the people he recruited in Brazil. He then explained the planning and direction of the factory to his father and the manager of the Brazilian branch of global trade, whom he recruited in Italy, and asked them to expand the scale of production now, and not to worry about not being able to sell the goods produced. In addition to the products sold locally, all other products should be stockpiled and wait for the cargo ships arranged by Fang Lang to come and tow them away. He also gave instructions to his uncle Fang Xinshu in person. His uncle was the legal person of the real estate development company, but Fang Lang was actually the boss behind the scenes. Fang Lang was very clear about the profits of real estate companies in the future. After explaining everything, Fang Lang said goodbye to his parents again, bid farewell to his hometown, and boarded a plane to Rio. He would wait for the 3 cargo ships of global trade in Rio, and then go north together under the escort of the Brazilian Navy. Report. Lieutenant Fang Lang of the Navy. Report before the end of the holiday. Fang Lang came to Colonel Teach's office as soon as he returned to Rio to report. Haha. Fang, you are finally back. Colonel Teach didn't mind the difference in rank between him and Fang Lang at all, and gave Fang Lang a big hug. It seems that American specialties are indeed a powerful tool for pulling superiors and subordinates closer in the Brazilian army. Only 2 companies of the army supplementary soldiers that you need to transport this time have arrived. I will take you to meet them later. The escort fleet to escort you will arrive the day after tomorrow afternoon, and there is plenty of time. In addition to replenishing the supplies and repairing the ships in the past 2 days, there is nothing particularly important, so I suggest that you can take advantage of these 2 days to experience the enthusiasm of the girls in Rio de Janeiro. Colonel Teach was very enthusiastic. I understand, sir. Thank you very much this time. Captain Blackwell really helped me a lot in Sao Paulo. Fang Lang was grateful for Colonel Teach's help from the bottom of his heart. If it weren't for his order, the Black Dragon Society in Sao Paulo would not have been eradicated, and the Japanese would not have been unable to move in Sao Paulo. Fang Lang believed that, because of this incident, the wave of Japanese immigration to Brazil after World War II should be significantly curbed. In addition, Director Hodges and Mayor Scalia had a bad impression of the Japanese in the later period. It is estimated that it would be very difficult for the Japanese to immigrate to Sao Paulo. Haha. Fang, I didn't help you in any way. Captain Blackwell is very grateful to you. If it weren't for you, they wouldn't have discovered the Japanese espionage activities in Brazil. This matter is very big. The president has issued a strict order to capture the escaped Japanese spies as soon as possible. The military even intends to imprison all the Japanese. Captain Blackwell will also benefit a lot from this incident. I heard that he may be transferred to the Intelligence Bureau as a major deputy director. Just wait for Blackwell's thanks. Haha. Colonel Tich was obviously very proud of this unintentional act, which could bring such a huge gain. Fang Lang didn't expect that Captain Blackwell would gain so much because of such a case, and he would soon have a friend working in the Intelligence Bureau. This is really a big surprise. Although the ability of the Brazilian Intelligence Bureau is not strong, it is still a serious privileged agency after all. Really? Then you really need Captain Blackwell to treat us to a big dinner. Haha. You kid, can you be sent away with a big dinner? You can't let him go unless I arrange a night of revelry with 2 beauties for you, understand? Colonel Tich was obviously happy from the bottom of his heart. Although Fang Lang didn't know the specific relationship between him and Captain Blackwell, he was sure that it must be closer than himself. Yes, you are right. It won't work if she is not pretty. You have to empty his pockets. Haha. Men talking about women can really bring the two closer. You kid, I heard that you already have 2 beautiful girls in Italy. Be careful of a fire in the backyard. Colonel Tich didn't know whether it was intentional or unintentional, but he actually said that Fang Lang had 2 girlfriends in Italy. This shocked Fang Lang's heart. It seems that you can't underestimate anyone. I didn't expect that Colonel Tich in Brazil already knew about what I did in Italy. Fortunately, I didn't do anything to let Brazil down. Otherwise, I might not be able to go back. Fang Lang pretended to be shocked and said, you know all this, you are so well informed. Fortunately, he did not hide this information in Italy, and he was not afraid of others knowing it. Do you think we will directly hire the ship of Global Trade Company without investigation? You are really amazing. I heard from Lieutenant Colonel Graham that the 2 sisters are both stunning. You are lucky to have them. It seems that you are really good at picking up girls. Although I don't know how you know such a powerful American company, you can arrange a job for your father-in-law and get the 2 sisters into your pocket. It is indeed your ability. Colonel Teach obviously knew that Fang Lang did not do anything to let Brazil down, and he was able to use his own relationship to bring 3 transport ships to Brazil, which was also a solution to the Navy's urgent needs. So he didn't pay much attention to Fang Lang's behavior in Italy. Fang Lang was relieved when he heard Teach's words. Obviously, they did not go to the United States to investigate who was the boss behind this company. It seems that I need to find an opportunity to re-register several companies in the United States and cross-hold shares behind global trade to hide myself deeper. Hearing Colonel Teach's words, Fang Lang could only smile and say, you are too kind. It's just so. The main thing is that he is handsome. Most people can't learn that. Colonel Tich was drinking coffee and was almost sprayed out by Fang Lang's narcissistic words. He pointed at Fang Lang and said with a smile, you can say this. I understand why you can accept the sisters. Get out. Don't tease me, an old guy. Here. Fang Lang didn't mind. He stood up and saluted and said goodbye, sir. In any case, Colonel Tich's help to Fang Lang, or to the Chinese, was very great. Even if he did it casually, the subsequent impact it produced was very beneficial to everyone else, except for the bad impact on the Japanese. When Fang Lang came to his berth with his backpack, the crew members on the Chillis had also returned and were interacting enthusiastically on the ship. It was obvious that everyone had a very happy holiday this time. Seeing Fang Lang coming back, everyone stood at attention and saluted. Fang Lang went over to shake hands with everyone one by one, and then called the first mate Delator to the captain's room to inquire about the situation of crew recruitment. In order to recruit crew members for the Global Trade Company, Fang Lang offered a generous condition that he would give the introducer a $10 introduction fee for each person recruited. Report to the captain. Almost every crew member brought 2 or 3 sailors here. I have already screened you in the early stage. The number of crew members who passed my assessment is 168. This is the list. Please check it. First Mate Delator really thanked his young superior from the bottom of his heart. This time, Delator rested for 4 days. His home is in the slums of Rio de Janeiro, so he was very close to home. But when he got home, his son had a high fever and his wife had no money. When she was anxious and at a loss, Delator returned home with $120 in his hand, which was like timely help. Delator was grateful to Fang Language. Oh. So many people were recruited this time. Very good work. Let me see. Wow. Leo D, you introduced 6 sailors by yourself. Not bad. Where are the personnel settled? Food, clothing, housing and transportation are arranged. Fang Lang glanced at the list handed over by Delator and found that among the introducers behind, the first mate alone introduced 6 people. He couldn't help but laugh and joked. Sir, don't worry. The sailors I introduced here are all excellent sailors, many of whom are retired from our navy. As for the personnel, they are now arranged at the dock purchased by Global Trade Company in Rio. Well, that's good. Let's go see them together later. I haven't visited Rio yet. While there is still some time, let's go and see it in the next 2 days. Fang Lang had been to Rio de Janeiro many times in his previous life, but he had never been here in this life. He also wanted to see what the city of God in this era was like. Has the world's largest slum taken shape now? When Delator heard that Fang Lang wanted to visit Rio de Janeiro, he quickly said, Sir, I'm from Rio. I will be your guide. If you don't mind, you can visit my home. When Fang Lang heard that Delator was actually from Rio, he was not polite. So this is your hometown, Leo D. No problem. Let's go to your home to visit your family. Chapter 36 Being a Guest. After the two had lunch with the crew on the ship, they drove the jeep at the base into Rio de Janeiro. At this time, Rio was already one of the largest cities in South America. The two sat in the jeep for sightseeing. Delator introduced the scenery and characteristics of Rio to Fang Lang while driving the vehicle to his home. Delator's home is under the statue of Jesus in the City of God. In later generations, this place is the largest slum in the world. Various criminal activities are emerging in an endless stream, and the police dare not come in to enforce the law. Of course, the government has not yet officially relocated all the poor, so the world's largest slum is not yet visible. But Fang Lang can see at a glance that the environment here is very bad, and he can't help but say, I said, Leo Lei, do you live here? Yes, sir, the houses here are the cheapest. There are too many people in our family, and all the income depends on my salary, so we can only afford to live in such a house. Delator said with a little embarrassment, and as a matter of course. Logically speaking, with your income, you shouldn't live in such a bad environment. My family's environment used to be better, but my mother had a serious illness a few years ago, and all the family savings were used for medical treatment. In addition, my son contracted pneumonia after swimming once. Because he didn't receive timely treatment, and it took too long, he has to take medicine every day. Fortunately, there is penicillin now. Although it's a bit expensive, it's much better now. This time, it's all thanks to your allowance. If it weren't for the allowance you gave me when I went home last time, my son would probably have died. Delator said it easily, but Fang Lang felt very heavy when he heard it. The current medical level is not high, and ordinary people can't afford to get sick at all. But there was a word in Delator's words that really caught Fang Lang's attention. Penicillin, a special anti-inflammatory drug, is like a miracle drug in this era. In Fang Lang's impression, it has always been more expensive than gold. In Fang Lang's impression, this special drug is not subject to patent restrictions, and he doesn't know whether Brazil has mastered the production technology of this drug. Why are you saying this? You earned it through your hard work. I know the penicillin you just mentioned. It is indeed a good anti-inflammatory medicine. Do you know where the one you bought in Brazil is produced? Only a few countries such as Britain and the United States have mastered the production technology of penicillin now. The ones we can buy in Brazil are all made in the United States. I don't think I have heard of any factory producing this drug in Brazil. Delator's words made Fang Lang fall into deep thought, and he began to think silently in his heart. The two chatted while watching the endless stream of people on both sides, and soon came to Delator's home. De La Tour's family has 6 people. In addition to the couple, there are parents and 2 sons. The eldest son is 12 years old, but he is in poor health due to pneumonia. The youngest son is only 7 or 8 years old. His mother has been bedridden for a long time, and his father is in his 70s and cannot work, so the family conditions are very poor. His wife has to take care of the family at home, and basically relies on De La Tour's salary to survive. When the family heard that it was De La Tour's superior who was visiting, they were very enthusiastic. Fang Lang also handed over the gifts he had prepared in time, and visited De La Tour's sick mother and son. De La Tour's wife was a typical Brazilian mixed race, with the unique enthusiasm of Brazilians. She warmly invited Fang Lang to take a bath together. Fang Lang knew that in Brazil, the highest etiquette for a hostess to treat guests was to take a bath with you. Although the original body had been staying in Brazil and was accustomed to this etiquette, as a child born in a Chinese family, he could not accept this etiquette. What's more, Fang Lang, who came from a time travel, felt very embarrassed, but Fang Lang knew that he could not refuse, which would hurt the host's heart. He could only rinse reluctantly and ran out quickly. De La Tour explained, "Old lady, I'm really sorry. We Chinese think that bathing is a very private matter. We are not used to this kind of etiquette in Brazil. Please believe me. I don't mean to look down on your family. Haha. Sir, I understand what you mean. Don't worry about it. I will explain it to my wife." De La Tour looked at Fang Lang with an embarrassed face. Although he felt strange, he didn't care too much. He just thought that Fang Lang rarely visited other people's homes. Seeing that De La Tour was not dissatisfied with his impoliteness, Fang Lang was relieved. The two of them had a dinner at De La Tour's house, which was not particularly sumptuous. Fang Lang suggested that De La Tour report back to the ship tomorrow, and he was going to drive back to the base. But when Fang Lang walked out of the narrow alley and was about to go out to get the car, he bumped into a figure passing by. They both looked back at each other. Fang Lang found that the other person was a nation-faced like himself, about 40 years old. Obviously, the other person also found that he had the same Asian face and was wearing a military uniform. The other party bowed his head and expressed his apology. What this person did not notice when he bowed was that Fang Lang's eyes shrank slightly. But he did not wait for the other party to get up, and he stepped away directly. After the Japanese got up, he saw that Fang Lang had left and muttered in Japanese, "Asshole, how rude," turned and continued to walk forward. He did not notice that after he left, the rude guy in his mouth secretly followed him. Because there were many houses in the slums, and alleys were connected to alleys, Fang Lang did not dare to follow too closely in his military uniform, fearing that he would be discovered by the other party. As a result, after turning 2 corners, he lost the other party's figure. After observing around, Fang Lang did not dare to alert the snake and quietly retreated. He knocked on De La Tour's door again. De La Tour saw that Fang Lang was back again and thought Fang Lang was lost, so he hurriedly welcomed Fang Lang into the house. But Fang Lang made a gesture to silence him. De La Tour was stunned, but as a soldier, he understood what Fang Lang meant immediately. Something was wrong. After looking outside the door, he saw nothing unusual, so he closed the door and walked into the room with Fang Lang, whispering, "Captain, what's wrong? Call your family out. I want to ask something." De La Tour's parents, wife, and children came out soon. Looking at Fang Lang, they were wondering why the guest who had just left came back. Fang Lang asked, "I'm sorry to bother you again. I want to ask if you have noticed 2 Japanese people coming to the area recently. They are Asians with the same skin color as me." Seeing that everyone shook their heads, it was obvious that this family rarely went out. Just when Fang Lang thought he had no gains, De La Tour's youngest son timidly said, "It seems that there are 2 people next door to Toba's house that uncle mentioned." Fang Lang was overjoyed and quickly asked, "Little friend, have you seen them?" "Yes. I saw them when I went to Toba's house to play yesterday." Fang Lang turned his head and looked at De La Tour and said, "Do you know where this Toba's house is?" "Of course, Captain. Is there any problem with the 2 Asians you mentioned?" "Yes. Take me to recognize the road first, and we will confirm the specific location together. Maybe this will improve your family's living environment." Fang Lang's words made De La Tour stunned. What does it mean that two Asians can change their family's living environment? However, Delator did not ask, but directly stood up and was about to go out with Fang language. Fang Lang quickly stopped him and said, "Let's change into casual clothes and don't let them find us." That's right. The person Fang Lang accidentally ran into this time was Ono Seiichi, one of the two Japanese spies who escaped in Sao Paulo, and the right-hand man of Kato Yungai, the president of the Brazilian Black Dragon Society. Fang Lang couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It's really a waste of effort to find something after searching for it for a long time. Fang Lang was originally thinking about whether to support his first mate. As a result, now it's good. The walking $5,000 is delivered to his door. Soon after the two changed into casual clothes, they came to Toba's house mentioned by his youngest son under the guidance of Delator. Fang Lang looked at the surrounding environment. Isn't this the place where he lost his target? The two did not stop, just walked past the house like passers-by and looked inside. After another long circle, they returned to Delator's house. Fang Lang explained to Delator in a low voice, "When I returned to Sao Paulo this time, the Sao Paulo Police Department cracked a Japanese spy case in which two spy leaders escaped. The Sao Paulo Police Department is offering a reward for the two men. Just now when I went back, I accidentally ran into a person who was one of the two. You have to work harder tonight and keep an eye on this yard. I will notify my friends in the intelligence agency. We will try to catch these two bastards in one fell swoop tomorrow. By then, we can both earn some reward." When Delator heard about this kind of thing, he couldn't help but become serious. He nodded quickly and climbed onto the roof. It seemed that he was going to monitor them directly on the roof. Chapter 37 Arrest. After giving some instructions to Delator, Fang Lang went out directly. After finding a car, he drove all the way to the nearest phone booth and called Captain Blackwell. After all, he heard that he was about to be promoted to be responsible for such cases, so he wanted to give him credit. "Hello. Who is this?" "This is Blackwell." Captain Blackwell's familiar voice came from the phone. "Haha. It turns out that he is the one who is going to be promoted." The voice is different. He listening to Blackwell's full-bodied voice, Fang Lang started to joke. "Ha, so it's Fang. You are really well informed. You have already heard about things that have not been officially announced yet. Isn't this natural? We are all here on our own. Congratulations to the major in advance, and I wish you a promotion and a raise." "Haha. Thank you. Fang, my promotion was earned by your credit. Don't worry, we are brothers. If you have any questions in the future, just ask." Blackwell was also a coincidence. He got this credit by accident. To be honest, this matter really has nothing to do with Fang language. Fang Lang dared not take credit for it. "What do you mean by taking credit for my work? I don't know anything. I'm just a lieutenant who went back to visit my family." "Fang, we are brothers. There are some things that don't need to be said. We all know it in our hearts. You wait and see how the elder brother behaves." Obviously, although Fang Lang felt that it had nothing to do with him, Captain Blackwell still credited the credit to Fang Lang at that time. He thought that Fang Lang could ignore the credit, but he had to remember it in his heart. Fang Lang could only use jokes to avoid continuing to dwell on this topic. He glanced at the people coming and going by the phone booth and whispered, "Haha. I'm waiting for you to take me to experience the enthusiasm of Brazilian girls. Speaking of credits, I have one in my hand now. I wonder if Mr. Major is interested. How come you just left and you have a new credit to give to me, brother?" Fang Lang's words made Blackwell on the other end of the phone stunned. What did he mean by congratulating him on his promotion and giving him credit right away? Because he didn't know whether the phone was safe, Fang Lang said cryptically, "Hey, isn't $5,000 too tempting? Oh, you found the person who escaped." Hearing Blackwell get straight to the point, he didn't know whether he didn't care about the security of the phone or decided that the phone was safe, but since others had already said so, Fang Lang could only follow his words and continued, "That's right, you come to me and we go catch him together, or I bring people to catch him and you come to lead him." Captain Blackwell pondered. "How about this? You arrest him directly, and tomorrow morning Chief Hodges and I will come to you to pick him up." but you are the Navy, and taking action directly in Rio may put the Rio police on the defensive. Fang Lang knew that Blackwell was really reminding him implicitly, and laughed. Haha. Don't worry, I won't take all the credit by myself. Only by sharing the benefits can we make more friends. I will notify Colonel Titch, and see if he wants to bring the Rio Police Department. Dear Fang, you are really a smart person. This way you will have friends all over Brazil. Our friends are all over Brazil. That's a deal. You come to Rio to pick up the goods tomorrow. Fang Lang had a plan, and he hung up the phone without hesitation. It was already off work, and he didn't know if he could contact Colonel Titch by phone. Fortunately, Colonel Titch's home was in the naval base. He jumped on the Willys Jeep without hesitation and rushed to the naval base at lightning speed, causing pedestrians on the road to curse. Colonel, I'm really sorry to bother you so late. Colonel Titch, who was approached by Fang Lang, was full of guts, but he still warmly invited Fang Lang to his home. Fang, why are you so polite? We are friends. Come in. But time was urgent, so Fang Lang went straight to the point and explained his purpose to Colonel Titch. Colonel, I won't go in. I just visited my first mate's house and accidentally found the two Japanese spies who escaped from Sao Paulo. I want to ask if you are interested in personally catching 2 spies for fun. What? 2 Japanese spies from Sao Paulo ran to Rio de Janeiro. Hearing that the Japanese spies hid in Rio de Janeiro surprised Colonel Titch. Although Sao Paulo is not far from Rio de Janeiro, how did these 2 spies escape Sao Paulo's layers of searches and come to Rio safely? Yes, I met them and recognized one of them at a glance and found their hiding place. Now my first mate is monitoring outside their house. What are we waiting for? Let's go, take our people and capture them directly. Then let Blackwell bring gifts to exchange. Haha. Hearing that the location of the spy had been determined, Colonel Titch was about to set off without hesitation. This made Fang Lang, who wanted to ask whether he needed to notify the police, immediately choose to shut up. If Colonel Titch felt it was necessary, he would definitely propose to notify the police. If Colonel Titch felt it was not necessary, then he would not say anything more. However, from his tone, it can be seen that Blackwell and Colonel Titch really have a special relationship. I have called Blackwell and he will come tomorrow morning. Originally, I wanted to give these 2 people to him as a promotion gift, but I don't know if he was worried that it would take too long to ask us to take action. He will come to pick them up tomorrow. Fang Lang felt a little embarrassed. After all, he notified Blackwell first, and others asked him to take action, so he came to find Colonel Titch. This is a bit unruly. Fortunately, Colonel Titch and Captain Blackwell had a close relationship and didn't mind. Otherwise, there would probably be trouble. Colonel Titch saw Fang Lang's expression, smiled and patted Fang Lang on the shoulder and said, "Let's go and gather people." Soon, a team of fully armed Marines were gathered in the quiet military camp. With a wave of Colonel Titch's hand, all the soldiers got on the trucks and followed Fang Lang's jeep all the way to the slums in Rio. Fortunately, the current Rio slums are not the city of God after 1960 and have not yet developed into the gang dens and lawless places that they later became. Otherwise, let alone catching spies, I'm afraid that the gangs inside would have started firing at the military vehicles as soon as the car stopped outside the slums. A series of rapid break sounds rang out, and the fully armed soldiers gathered and grouped in an orderly manner, and then groped towards their destination under the command of officers at all levels. In fact, in Fang Lang's mind, there was no need to use such a large-scale force to capture 2 Japanese spies. One reason was that it would easily make too much noise and alert the target. The other reason was that with so many people surrounding them, it didn't look like an arrest at all, but more like a gunfight. But now it was obviously not Fang Lang who was in charge. Maybe this was a Brazilian way of doing things. There was no skill at all, just rushing in. Watching the large group of people gradually surround the house where the target was, Colonel Titch assigned a squad of soldiers to kick open the door of the Japanese house with weapons, and then Fang Lang heard the crackling sound of gunfire coming from inside. Fang Lang was shocked. What the hell? It seems that he can only go in to collect the bodies. It seems that this kind of arrest is indeed not suitable for the passionate and unrestrained Brazilians. They may be more suitable for rushing in. Soon, the gunfire stopped, and several soldiers dragged two motionless figures from inside to Fang language. Fang Lang used the light of the flashlight to look at the appearance of the two figures on the ground, and nodded to Colonel Teach beside him. Yes, these two guys. Colonel Teach heard that Fang Lang confirmed the target, and said with a smile on his face, "Medic, come and see if these two bastards can be saved." Looking at the medic who was checking the two people on the ground, Fang Lang shook his head in his heart. If you want to survive, you can't just rush in like this. In his heart, he couldn't help but give a thumbs up to Colonel Teach in front of him. "You are really reckless. Report to the commander. One is dead, and the other may still have a chance to be rescued. Then send this bastard who is not dead yet to the hospital to see if he can be saved. If he can survive, he will be lucky." Colonel Teach waved his hand casually, indicated to the soldiers to carry away the people who were not dead yet. Chapter 38, Anticlimax. After this arrest operation, Fang Lang finally understood why the Americans had to train the Brazilian army for so long before sending it to the European front. For such a simple arrest operation, a whole company of Marines was dispatched, and the result was one death and one serious injury. The Brazilian Navy also paid the price of one serious injury and two minor injuries. Colonel Teach said that he was very satisfied with the results of this battle. This made Fang Lang feel very speechless, but as the largest country in South America, the surrounding environment is also very safe, and there is basically no threat of war. Fang Lang thought about it and felt relieved. When Blackwell and Director Hodges flew to Rio de Janeiro the next day, they saw Onosiachi, who was out of danger in the hospital, and was very surprised to be able to capture a live person. Obviously, this exceeded their expectations. Haha. Fang, you are really great. We actually have a live person. It seems that we can hold a trial for him. Director Hodges said excitedly. Of course, brother, he belongs to you now, and it's your right to do what you want with him. Although Fang Lang was speechless, he had achieved his goal, and couldn't ask for too much. Haha. Thank you so much, brother. This time I brought your bounty. I think you are really lucky. I suggest you switch to being a bounty hunter. You will definitely make a fortune. Don't be so polite. This is $5,000 delivered to your door, and we are brothers, aren't we? Being a bounty hunter seems to be a good idea. I will seriously consider it. Maybe I can really try it after retiring, right? He of course. Fang Lang couldn't be a bounty hunter. How much money could he make? Not even as much as the change from selling cigarettes casually. As a military personnel, Captain Blackwell obviously felt that merit was more important than money. He said on the side, "Fang, don't worry, I will report your merit this time. You will not only get the bounty then. The merit of capturing the Japanese spy is not small." Seeing that Blackwell was going to take the credit for himself, Fang Lang hurriedly said, "Hey, brother, this is not my credit alone. I just discovered him. It was my first mate Delator who found and monitored him, and it was Colonel Teach who caught them. You can't take all the credit on me." Blackwell and Colonel Teach looked at Fang Lang with surprise. They didn't expect that there were still officers in the Brazilian army who pushed the credit away. Everyone wanted to take the credit of their subordinates for themselves. Blackwell said with respect, "Fang, you are such a rare good commander. I'm beginning to envy your first mate." Delator, who had been standing by like an invisible man, was excited. He knew that his commander was a very different commander, but he didn't expect that he would be so different. Fang Lang didn't care. This was the fact. Why did everyone look like they had seen a ghost? However, Fang Lang had a question in his mind, and he couldn't help asking it in the end. These are all small things, but I have a question. Is it really okay for us not to notify the local police station about this kind of thing? After all, this time the commotion is not small. He looked at Chief Hodges. Haha, brother, you worry too much. We don't need to consider these issues. Colonel Teach is not available now. What do you think he is doing? Of course he is communicating with the police station. If we really let this police chief get involved, we will have nothing to do. Before Chief Hodges could express his opinion, Blackwell had already laughed and spoke, but Fang Lang could see from his slightly mocking eyes that he probably didn't have a good impression of the Rio de Janeiro police chief. Sure enough, Fang Lang soon saw the Rio de Janeiro police chief's working style. When Blackwell treated everyone to a meal and returned to the hospital, he saw many policemen surrounding the hospital. Seeing this situation, Fang Lang didn't think it mattered, but Blackwell and Chief Hodges' faces obviously changed drastically. They rushed into the hospital and saw that in the ward at this moment, a fat policeman with a big belly, a fat head and big ears, and weighing more than 250 kilograms was arguing with Colonel Teach in the ward. "Mr. Colonel, you don't have to tell me anymore. They can take the dead one, but the living one must be mine." Colonel Teach's face turned blue with anger, and he shouted angrily, "Amicus Lecna, don't push your luck. I have made it very clear. This is our military action, and has nothing to do with your local police department. Don't be so greedy." It turned out that this person was Amicus Lecna, the police chief of Rio de Janeiro. Obviously Blackwell overestimated Colonel Teach's influence on the police chief. "What do you mean by your military action? We also received a wanted order from the Sao Paulo Police Department. This is a matter of our police system. What does your navy have to do with it? Be careful, I will report it directly to the president, and you, a naval colonel, will be in trouble." As the police chief of Rio de Janeiro, he dared to directly fight with the naval colonel. Fang Lang believed that this chief must be an extraordinary person. From what he said, he could actually communicate directly with the president. Fang Lang could only sigh in his heart that his background was indeed strong enough. "Go ahead and sue me if you dare. I'm not afraid of you." Colonel Teach's eyes were almost spitting fire. Seeing that the emotions of both parties were about to get out of control, Fang Lang was thinking about whether to step forward to stop them, but thinking about his identity, it was not appropriate. Fortunately, Chief Hodges on the side had already walked up and said, "Calm down, both of you. Don't let the two Japanese hurt your relationship. Everyone, please give me some face. Come on, let's sit down in the next room and talk together." Obviously, both of them were a little embarrassed. The appearance of Hodges gave the two people who were arguing a way out. Hodges ignored their attitudes and directly pulled them into a doctor's office. After driving all the doctors out, he closed the door and held a closed door meeting inside for a full hour. Although Fang Lang didn't know what was discussed inside, the final result was that the injured Japanese spy was not suitable for long distance travel and was jointly tried by the Sao Paulo Police Department and the Rio de Janeiro Police Department. As for Colonel Teach, he kept a gloomy face. Perhaps this also planted the seeds of what happened later. Fang Lang was also very speechless. He felt that this matter was a bit anticlimactic. If Brazilians always do things in this style, Fang Lang really didn't know how to describe it. Why can't it be handled in a win-win situation? Of course, this may also be that Fang Lang took it for granted. After all, he didn't understand the situation in Rio de Janeiro, nor did he understand the police chief. As a Chinese, he might still like to communicate first and then act, distribute the benefits first, and everyone will act together under the agreed framework to share the benefits. Of course, Fang Lang estimated that it would be difficult for him to convince the police chief, based on the toughness he saw. He shook his head and went back to the naval base with De La Torre first. After all, it was not his turn to intervene in these matters now. Anyway, the bonus was already in hand, and Fang Lang directly gave De La Torre $2,500. This made De La Torre repeatedly say that it was too much, he didn't do anything, and he shouldn't take so much. Fang Lang said that this was an order and calmed him down. He was grateful beyond words, and had a heart willing to die for Fang language. This was of course Fang Lang's deliberate act of winning people's hearts. After all, he didn't need this little money now, and it didn't matter if he gave it all to De La Torre, but he was afraid that De La Torre would think he was pitying him. Alas, it's hard to be a good person. After these two incidents, Fang Lang had a completely new understanding of the Brazilian police and army. They were simply incompetent at everything, and were the first to take credit. However, Fang Lang remembered that the Brazilian Expeditionary Force in history was not bad in the European battlefield. Why is it so terrible in China? Chapter 39 Surprise. After returning to the ship, Fang Lang quickly put these things behind him. He learned about his business in the United States and Italy through the telegram on the ship. After contacting Fang Lang, Changson in the United States said that the factory equipment Fang Lang asked to find had been found and could be arranged for shipment at any time, but considering the safety of shipping, it was recommended to wait for the boss's transport fleet to transport it. Fang Lang also arranged for Changson to find penicillin production equipment in the United States and understand the process flow, and asked whether it was possible to build a penicillin production plant in Brazil, even if it was only a small-scale factory. Mr. Cohens in Italy said that he had received the details of the goods sent by the Brazilian branch and had begun to look for buyers in Italy. At the same time, 2 cigarette distributors had been found in France, and they could start negotiations with them. As soon as Fang Lang returned to Italy, Fang Lang directly asked Cohens to negotiate with the French distributors himself, and he only needed to go back to confirm the contract, giving his father-in-law full trust. Finally, Fang Lang sent a telegram to Commodore Jackson, saying that he would continue to purchase 10 transport ships, and asked if Commodore Jackson had any stock on hand. Brigadier General Jackson certainly would not refuse the business that came to his doorstep. He directly stated that it was still the original price and the original routine, and it could be delivered at any time. Fang Lang notified Mr. Cohens to go to the Navy Department to sign a ship purchase contract. Soon after gathering his 3 transport ships, the long-awaited escort fleet finally arrived. Fang Lang once again took his fleet to Natal under the escort of the Brazilian Navy, and then joined other ships to go to Italy along the original route. Every time crossing the Atlantic Ocean is a test of life and death. Those who can break through the layers of blockades and reach the destination are true heroes. Unfortunately, there was no Brazilian welcome ceremony in Italy this time. Only a major of the Brazilian Expeditionary Army took several trucks and took away the supplementary soldiers on the ship. Fang Lang went to Colonel Attilio Peresi to report on his own. Report to the commander. Lieutenant Fang Lang of the Navy reports to you that the transport ship Chalice has successfully completed the transportation mission. Please give your instructions. Fang Lang said in a standard military posture, standing in front of Colonel Peresi. Lieutenant Fang, coming quickly, no need to be polite. Sit down and talk. Sit down and talk. As expected, after the baptism of local specialties, Colonel Peresi this time is different from the Colonel Peresi that Fang Lang met for the first time. Yes, sir. Fang, I heard that this time, you not only successfully completed the transportation task, but also accomplished a big thing. The country has sent a commendation telegram. The Expeditionary Force headquarters has also sent praise. It seems that Fang, you will soon be ready to pick stars. Looking at Colonel Peresi with a smile on his face, Fang Lang was confused. I know that I have done a big thing. It should be the work of Japanese spies. But what does it mean to pick stars? It implies that I want to be promoted, but I'm only a lieutenant now. Even if I want to be promoted, I will be a captain. Captains are at most one more flower. How can I pick stars? Sir, I was just lucky. I happened to run into 2 Japanese spies. I really don't deserve your praise. Luck is also a kind of ability. You don't have to be too modest. Just in time for you to come back, I have 2 good news to tell you. First, in view of your outstanding performance in this transport mission, Lieutenant Colonel Graham has asked General Moraes for credit for you. With the approval of the Expeditionary Force headquarters, you are awarded the rank of Naval Captain. This rank should have been awarded to you half a month ago. But because you are carrying out a mission in the Atlantic, I will award it to you now. Congratulations, Captain Fang. Language. Seeing Colonel Peresi's face gradually becoming serious, Fang Lang quickly stood up and saluted, saying, "Thank you, sir. What is a surprise? This is a surprise." Lieutenant Colonel Graham really does what he says. At the beginning, he said that, as long as Fang Lang solved the problem of the transport ship for him, he would apply to his superiors for a promotion reward for him. Last time, when Colonel Peresi accidentally gave Fang Lang a flower, Fang Lang thought he would not be promoted. I didn't expect to receive such a big surprise. As soon as I returned to Italy, I had just transferred from the Army Infantry to the Navy for less than 5 months, but I was promoted 3 levels and became a naval captain. This is simply like a little cow visiting her relatives. Awesome. Looking at Fang Lang with a look of surprise, Colonel Peresi smiled and changed his collar badge and said, "Young man, it's too early to be happy. There is another big surprise waiting for you tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, take your first mate and report to the Expeditionary Force headquarters together. Yes, sir. Hearing Colonel Paris's words, Fang Lang began to mutter in his heart, no way, no way. It's not over yet. This is a rhythm of taking off. But if I really pick a star, will I not be able to serve as the captain of the Jealous? I don't know what position I will be assigned to next. What Fang Lang didn't know was that at this time, Lieutenant Colonel Graham was also reporting Fang Lang's situation to General Morris. General, as far as I know, Fang Lang has a close relationship with Brigadier General Jackson of the US Navy, and they are like uncle and nephew. He is even close to an American company called Global Trade Co. Limited. Oh. I didn't expect that our Brazilian Expeditionary Force actually has a guy with such a deep background in the United States, but it turned out that he didn't show such a deep background when he was in the army. As the Commander-in-Chief of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, Major General Morris only has the rank of Major General, but he is also the Marshal of the Brazilian Army. He has great power. It can be said that it is very easy for him to know the information of his subordinates, but according to what he learned from the Brazilian Expeditionary Army, Fang Lang did not receive special care from the United States before he was injured. This is exactly what I was confused about, but Fang Lang's appearance also solved the problem of the transport ship for us. I always thought that the reason why Commodore Jackson agreed to assign a transport ship to us was because Fang Lang happened to be a captain. Otherwise, we had asked so many times, but not once. As soon as Fang Lang appeared, the US Navy immediately agreed to allocate a transport ship to us and asked Fang Lang, who passed their assessment, to be the captain. Isn't this clearly that this transport ship is prepared for Fang Lang? Not to mention, according to Lieutenant Colonel Graham's analysis, there is really nothing wrong. If Fang Lang is on the side, he has to agree that Graham's analysis is very reasonable. Then what do you think? If we promote his rank to major this time, what position should we assign him? Maurice lowered his head and picked up his pipe to light it. Through the flickering smoke, his sharp eyes became a little unpredictable. I wonder if the general will agree to let me test Fang Lang's attitude. What I mean is, since the Americans are willing to provide us with a transport ship in order to arrange a position for him as a transport captain here, if we give him a higher position, will the Americans? Obviously, Lieutenant Colonel Graham is definitely General Maurice's confidant, and he has a very accurate grasp of General Maurice's thoughts, because as Lieutenant Colonel Graham spoke, a slight smile flashed across General Maurice's slightly unfathomable eyes. Although this slight smile was fleeting, it still did not escape Lieutenant Colonel Graham's eyes. I don't know if Fang Lang has the ability to serve as the captain of a destroyer. Maurice's tone was long and distant, and it was unknown whether he was worried or talking to himself, but the size of his voice was just right and reached Lieutenant Colonel Graham's ears. But Lieutenant Colonel Graham continued, as if he had not heard anything. I heard that Fang Lang's Jealous has already docked. I wonder what you think of the new captain of the Jealous. Should we continue to rent ships from Global Trade when we return to Brazil this time? If we rely on the Jealous alone, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to quickly transport our accumulated spoils back to Brazil. Didn't you put one of your people on the Jealous when it was established? Is he sure he can operate this transport ship now? The person the two were talking about was obviously the current second mate of the Jealous, Norbert Rufendis, who was transferred from the Logistics Department to the second mate of the transport ship. General, you are indeed very discerning. This person is indeed my man. Don't worry, even if he is not sure about operating this transport ship, I believe that with the current first mate, there will be no problem. Obviously, Lieutenant Colonel Graham had already made plans for the future of the Jealous. Then you go and talk to Fang Lang. You must fully seek his opinion on the new captain. You can't act recklessly. Do you understand? Chapter 40 New Needs of the Navy. At the port of Naples, Italy, Mr. Cottons was leading the staff of Global Trade Company to count and check the goods shipped from Brazil to Italy. Most of them were cigarettes, and the rest were mostly sugar, pepper, wine and other items. While checking the goods, Cottons asked several captains, Moscona, this voyage was pretty smooth, right? Of course, Mr. Cottons, we were under the protection of the naval fleet throughout the journey. Although we encountered several attacks by the Germans, we were safe and sound. Moscona's face was full of question marks. Didn't he report the itinerary to the company? What is Mr. Cohens asking him now? Then no one made things difficult for you in Brazil this time. Mr. Cohens pinched the list in his hand with his hand, and he felt a little bit of a side talk. Of course not. The whole journey was arranged by the boss himself. We were either parked at the naval base, or protected by the Navy. How could anyone be so blind as to come and cause trouble for us? Moscona looked at Mr. Cohens strangely, wondering what was going on with Mr. Cohens today. Does the boss have a huge network of connections in Brazil? Cohens was embarrassed by Moscona's eyes, and his face flushed slightly. I'm not very clear about the specific situation, because I'm near the dock most of the time. You may need to ask the person in charge of the Brazilian branch to find out. Captain Moscona was confused by Mr. Cohens' shy face. While answering Mr. Cohens' question, he began to think about Mr. Cohens' intentions. Then you have been to the boss's hometown, right? You brought back so many crew members recruited by the boss in Brazil on the ship this time. After a lot of meaningless words, Cohens finally made up his mind and decided to bring the question to his own topic. Of course, the boss's home is near Sanchezport. The captain was already confused by Cohens' details and could only answer whatever was asked. I don't know. Have you heard them talk about the situation at the boss's home? Finally, Cohens asked the question he wanted to know most. What are you talking about? I heard some of the boss's fellow countrymen talking about them on the ship. The captain, looking at the expression on Mr. Cohens' face, had some rough guesses about his purpose in his heart and couldn't help but feel a little funny. Well, it's mainly about whether the boss has a girlfriend in Brazil or not. Do you understand what I mean? Cohens obviously lost some patience with the captain, who was not very good in front of him, and decided not to hide it anymore, and went straight to the point. Haha. I understand. Mr. Cohens is asking about the situation for Miss Lilith. Don't worry. I really asked this, everyone said. Moscona saw that Mr. Cohens finally told the real intention, and he was relieved. You are not Chinese, can't you just say what you want to say? Such a big detour. What are you talking about? Seeing that the gentleman on the ship stopped talking halfway, Cohens blurted out with an anxious face. Don't worry. Mr. Cohens, the boss doesn't have a girlfriend in Brazil. The captain laughed, and Cohens was also flushed by his deliberate tone of mocking himself. Yeah, I get it. Then you guys hurry up and inspect the ship. Since the cargo has been unloaded, I'll leave first. After saying that, he fled. At this time, Lieutenant General Amuro Chambers, commander of the US 4th Fleet, was chatting with Brigadier General Jackson of the Naval Logistics Department in the US Navy base. Jackson, these Brazilians are getting more and more greedy. Brazil is not threatened by war, but this time they want us to provide them with the most advanced naval destroyer. I don't know what they want to use it for. Are they going to dominate South America? Lieutenant General Chambers was a tall white man with a meticulously buttoned military uniform and sharp eyes. There was a 3 or 4 centimeter wound on his left cheek. Obviously, he was also a military general who had experienced the test of blood and fire. At this time, his eyes were slightly dissatisfied. General, the Brazilian Navy is all old models from the First World War. They haven't launched any new naval ships for nearly 20 years. Now seeing our new warships and a new war mode, it's normal for them to have some thoughts. Brigadier General Jackson said his opinion calmly. So what do you mean? Do we meet their requirements? Hearing Jackson's words, Lieutenant General Chambers became more dissatisfied. It depends on how you want to use the Brazilian Navy. If you just need them to lay mines and clear mines, of course you don't have to pay attention to their ideas. But if you need them to help us perform other combat missions, it's no problem to provide some military equipment. What you said makes sense, but the combat capability of the Brazilian Navy is basically a child's play. There is no actual combat experience at all. What can I expect them to do? Lieutenant General Chambers' disdainful expression was beyond words. I don't have any good ideas. I guess the Brazilian Navy doesn't want to send their navy with no combat experience directly to the front line to perform any dangerous combat missions. It is more likely to use them to learn new ways of warfare and new ship concepts. This is also my guess. so I have some doubts about providing them with warships, but Eisenhower will be very satisfied with the performance of the Brazilian army, and Admiral King hopes that the Brazilian Navy can play a better role for us. Lieutenant General Chambers saw through the thoughts of the Navy's top brass. Do you mean that the upper echelons intend to provide warships to Brazil? The upper echelons certainly hope to expand our influence in the Brazilian military. After all, America is America for Americans, and it can't be just a slogan. I understand what you mean. Then it seems that providing warships to the Brazilian Navy will be imperative. I wonder if there are suitable candidates to support it now? This is also where we hesitate. Colonel Percy of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force is actually a very suitable candidate. Unfortunately, he is President Vargas' confidant, and President Vargas is a very good politician. He will not really stand with us, just like when he stood with the Germans. When the Germans encountered a decline, they immediately turned to our arms. This kind of fence-sitter cannot become a true pro-American faction. Speaking of specific candidates for support began to give Lieutenant General Chambers a headache. After all, the United States began to interfere in Brazilian politics only with some results in the 1940s. Oh. If you need a friend who has a close relationship with us in the United States, I do have a candidate. Unfortunately, he is just a lieutenant and has only experience as a captain of a transport ship. He may not be qualified to be the spokesperson for the United States Navy in Brazil. Brigadier General Jackson, who had always had a calm expression, finally began to smile. Oh. Tell me, rank and ability are not important. As long as he can keep up with our pace, we can make up for what he lacks. This man is a Brazilian of Chinese descent, a minority in Brazil. He was the captain of the transport ship we allocated to the Brazilian Navy last time. The reason why I chose him is that he has a deep relationship with our US Navy. He is the savior of General Clark's son John and a close friend. Even General Clark once called and asked me to thank him because he eased the relationship between their father and son. And this little guy is also very smart. Through his hands, he has sold 3 captured transport ships for us. Moreover, he sent a telegram to me some time ago requesting to purchase 10 transport ships again, which contributed a lot of funds to our Navy department. Hearing what you said, I became interested in him. You talk to him first. If he really belongs to our pro-American faction, then you bring him over, and I will talk to him in detail. Of course, no problem. Their ship has returned to the dock today. I believe he will contact me soon. I will have a good chat with him then. I believe you will not be disappointed. Chapter 41 Good News. The person everyone was talking about, Fang Lang, had already arrived at the Navy hospital impatiently, and hugged his girlfriend, Lilith, tightly. Lilith, I finally see you again. Do you miss me? The little girl had tears in her eyes and a wronged look on her face as she hugged Fang Lang's waist tightly, burying her tearful face in Fang Lang's arms. Fang, I miss you so much. You never wrote to me. I want to write, but I don't know where to send it to. Haha, silly girl, I've been at sea, and the postman can't catch up with me. By the time your letter arrives in Brazil, I might have returned to you. Fang Lang could clearly feel Lilith's feelings from her strong arms, and smiled and whispered in the little girl's ear to comfort her. But I miss you. Feeling the little girl in his arms being coquettish, Fang Lang would not refuse. Yeah, I understand. I missed you too. Now I'm back, right? Do you want to take a leave this afternoon, and go shopping with me? Lilith's joy at Fang Lang's return was beyond words. When she heard that Fang Lang was going to take her shopping, she buried her head in Fang Lang's chest and nodded happily. Yeah. Then let's go pick up my sister together. Fang Lang didn't expect Lilith to remember to bring Wei Weiyan with her at this time. It's not that Fang Lang didn't like Wei Weiyan, nor did he not want to be with Wei Weiyan, but Fang Lang was with Lilith first after all, so he still wanted to give himself and Lilith some more space alone. Are you sure you want to pick up your sister? Hearing Fang Lang's slightly hesitant question, Lilith seemed very puzzled and said, of course, this is our agreement. I can't leave her alone to date you. Don't you like Wei Weiyan? As a man, how could he not like such a good thing as sisters? But if he put himself in Lilith's shoes, Fang Lang would also worry whether Lilith really didn't mind at all. Of course not, but Lilith, do you really not mind at all? No. My sister and I have a good relationship. We will share everything together. Seeing Lilith's heartless expression, the scumbag Fang Lang said the worst words with a half-hearted attitude. But in this case, am I too mean? This is our own will. You can't be blamed for this. Hearing Lilith's answer, Fang Lang didn't know how to describe his feelings. He was both happy and guilty. The two laughed all the way to school to pick up their sister Vivian. The three of them laughed all the way, and after having dinner together, they sent the two back home. When Fang Lang returned to the naval base, Lieutenant Colonel Graham had been waiting outside Fang Lang's barracks for a long time. Fang Lang saw Lieutenant Colonel Graham waiting outside the door at a glance, and hurriedly stepped forward and said, "Lieutenant Colonel Graham, good evening. Are you waiting for me here?" "Oh. God, Fang, you are finally back. I have been waiting for you for almost an hour." The Lieutenant Colonel had obviously been waiting for a long time. He stood up and stamped his feet, rubbing his fingers and said, I'm really sorry, sir. I just returned to Italy today. There are many things to deal with, so I came back late. If you have any instructions, please tell me directly." Fang Lang would not tell him that he went shopping with his girlfriend in the afternoon. If Graham knew how long he had been waiting, Fang Lang was enjoying the blessing of having two wives, and he would be very angry. Haha. There is nothing wrong with instructions. I just have good news to tell you. Seeing Fang Lang's attitude, Graham couldn't show any dissatisfaction, so he had to smile and said, "Haha. I understand, Commander Graham. You are a commander who keeps his word. You really do what you say. Thank you very much for your support." Hearing Graham say that he had good news to tell him, Fang Lang thought that this person came to take credit for Fang Lang's promotion from lieutenant to captain. He couldn't help but think, don't you see that your buddy's collar badge has the rank of captain? You come here to take credit at this time, aren't you late? No, Fang, you misunderstood. Your promotion to captain is just a small matter. This time I came here to tell you another good news. Hearing Fang Lang's words, Lieutenant Colonel Graham waved his hands repeatedly. In the Brazilian army, as long as you have money and can bribe the commander, the lieutenant level officer is easy to get, and there is no gold content, so Lieutenant Colonel Graham said indifferently. Any other good news? Seeing Graham's behavior, it was obvious that he did not treat helping Fang Lang to be promoted from lieutenant to captain as something worth showing off, which made Fang Lang look forward to what kind of good news Graham could bring to him. "Yes, I believe you have received the order to report to the Expeditionary Force headquarters tomorrow." Looking at Fang Lang's expectant expression, Graham began to keep him in suspense. "Yes, today Colonel Percy has ordered me to report to the Expeditionary Force headquarters tomorrow morning. Is there any other good news?" This kind of news has no meaning of being kept secret, so Fang Lang also took it for granted that Lieutenant Colonel Graham could know it. Of course, you have done a big thing in Brazil this time without making a sound." Lieutenant Colonel Graham looked at the young man in front of him with envy. After all, this was the first time that Brazil cracked an Axis spy organization in World War II. Therefore, the credit and influence are very huge. Otherwise such a small matter would not need to be known by the president, and the Ministry of Defense would need to call for commendation. Of course, this may also be because Brazil has joined the Allies for too short a time, and there is no threat of war on its own land. At most, German submarines cruise in the waters where the Brazilian Navy often appears, causing a lot of trouble for the Brazilian Navy. Therefore, World War II did not have much impact on Brazil. Of course, there was no impact at all. For example, the establishment of the Expeditionary Force would definitely affect many families. The sharp increase in the demand for materials from the Allies pushed many resource companies in Brazil to an unprecedented height. The Brazilian government made a lot of money. Just Vale, Brazil's largest state-owned iron ore company, was officially established in 1942. It was able to become the world's largest iron ore processing and export company in the future because it developed by selling high-grade iron ore to the United States during this period. Of course, these have nothing to do with Fang language. Fang Lang is only concerned about what benefits he can get now. Hey, what's the big deal? It's just good luck. The credit came to me automatically. Is the good news you mentioned related to this? Seeing Fang Lang's expression, Graham knew that Fang Lang did not have a clear understanding of the benefits here. Of course, the Ministry of National Defense sent a special commendation telegram. Do you think it's good news? Hearing that it was a commendation from the Ministry of National Defense, Fang Lang knew it was very rare. But what's the point of a commendation without something practical? It's just a commendation. It doesn't have any effect. Seeing Fang Lang's slightly disgusted expression, Lieutenant Colonel Graham couldn't help but begin to envy Fang Lang's stupid luck. Of course it's not as simple as just a commendation. I came to you, in advance this time, to tell you our good news. Tomorrow you will officially enter the ranks of school level officers. Lieutenant Colonel Graham's words finally confirmed what Fang Lang heard from Colonel Percy. However, this credit is not his alone. After all, when he discovered the two Japanese spies, Fang Lang brought Delator with him, and the bonus was shared by the two of them. What? There is such a good thing. Then what about my first mate? Graham obviously knew something about Delator's affairs, but after all, he was not his own man, so he just sighed that the first mate was lucky. Of course, he was promoted to the same rank as you. He is so lucky. He has been at the rank of lieutenant for 4 years. I didn't expect that he would be promoted to the next rank in less than 4 months after following you. Hearing what Lieutenant Colonel Graham said, Fang Lang also smiled and said, haha. This is all luck. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Bad News. After the small talk, Graham finally brought the topic to business. After all, Fang Lang will soon be a major in the Expeditionary Army. The colonel level officers in Brazil are different from the lieutenant level officers. You can't get promoted by giving gifts or money. You must have real merit. Therefore, many Brazilian lieutenants are still lieutenants until they retire. Of course, this does not mean that there is no chance at all. It mainly depends on whether you can give it to the right person. If you give it to the president, the commander-in-chief of the Navy, Army, and Air Force, or the chief of the general staff, there will definitely be a chance. But many lieutenants will never have the opportunity to meet these superiors in their lives, let alone give gifts. Others don't know you. If you go to give gifts directly, you will be lucky if you are not directly sent to a military court. I came to you this time to discuss something with you. You will be a major soon, and your position will definitely be promoted. We want you to serve as the captain of a destroyer, but now the Brazilian Navy's own warships are all old models and basically have no combat effectiveness, so we want to hear your ideas. When he heard that he was asked to be the captain of a destroyer, he would have to fight with the Germans, and would have no time to make a fortune. This is not okay. But, I have no problem sailing a ship, but driving a warship is not just about being able to sail a ship. Lieutenant Colonel Graham didn't know what Fang Lang was thinking, and thought that Fang Lang was just worried about his personal lack of ability and inability to be competent for this position. Don't worry about these, the warship will not let you drive it alone. We will definitely assign you enough professional staff. Fang Lang was obviously not interested in this kind of combat position that wasted his time to make a fortune. If he really had to change his position, Fang Lang would rather have a lucrative position in the Logistics Department. Well, I haven't participated in naval battles, so I may not be suitable. I wonder if there are other positions in your Logistics Department that are more suitable for me. I can come to work in the Logistics Department. Graham heard Fang Lang's obvious evasion and decisively rejected Fang Lang's idea of coming to the Logistics Department. What a joke. As the first officer of the Logistics Department, I only have the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. You, a major, come here and directly become my deputy, and you have the support of the Americans behind you, so what kind of boss can I be? There is no vacancy in the Logistics Department now. Now the headquarters means that you will be the captain of the naval destroyer. Because we are friends, and you have helped me solve the problem of transporting spoils, so I want to communicate with you in advance to see what you think. Fang Lang finally heard some different meanings from Lieutenant Colonel Graham's words. Since the headquarters has decided to let him serve as the captain of the destroyer, what else is there to communicate? I'm a soldier. Can I just refuse to execute orders? This is not a matter of life and death. But what communication is there? If the headquarters wants to transfer me to be the captain of a destroyer, I can only follow orders. Hearing the broken jar in Fang Lang's tone, Graham wondered if his communication style was a bit too tough. After all, the man in front of him had the current father of Brazil, the American, standing behind him. It can only mean that Lieutenant Colonel Graham has become accustomed to his way of doing things in his own hands. He may not have the confidence to deal with outsiders, but when dealing with the situation within the Brazilian army, Graham has always been a relatively strong officer, because his backer is the commander-in-chief of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, Brazilian Marshal Major General Moraes. But his attitude towards Fang Lang was actually different from the beginning, because he felt that Fang Lang had an American father standing behind him. He was not someone he could easily offend, which made Fang Lang make a wrong judgment from the beginning, thinking that Lieutenant Colonel Graham was a good talking officer and even willing to make friends with him. Since General Moraes also felt that there was an American behind Fang Lang, and wanted to use Fang Lang's relationship to promote his idea of increasing the strength of the Brazilian Navy, Graham obviously couldn't offend this Asian guy with a strong background in front of him. Maybe I didn't make it clear enough. The point now is that our Brazilian Navy's equipment are all warships from the First World War, with poor combat effectiveness. It's hard to defend near the coast of Brazil, let alone a naval battle with the Germans. There is no vacancy for the captain, so this time we want the US military to support us with another new destroyer. Fang Lang felt that he had grasped some of their ideas from Lieutenant Colonel Graham's words, but he was not sure, so he could only express his lack of ability again, hoping to further understand the thoughts of this seemingly harmless logistics chief in front of him. This is not good. As a novice, you mean to let me be the captain of this new warship? Wouldn't it be unfair to the old captains of our navy? Graham answered all of Fang Lang's questions one by one. In short, there was only one purpose: to make Fang Lang agree to become the captain of the destroyer. You don't need to consider whether it is fair or not. As for the question of novices, our Brazilian Navy has not come into contact with new destroyers, so the Americans will definitely arrange personnel to train us. Fang Lang was not particularly clear about the idea of the Expeditionary Force. However, since he wanted to keep his identity as a Brazilian soldier, he had no way to refuse the reasonable transfer order from his superiors. Oh, alright then. I will obey the order. Hearing Fang Lang directly accept the appointment, Lieutenant Colonel Graham was a little unresponsive for a while. Wasn't it the person in front of him who just refused in every possible way? But since he agreed to accept the appointment, the rest of the matter would be easy to handle. Now there is a problem. Fang Lang knew that the doubts in his heart would soon be answered. He asked inadvertently, "What's the problem?" Graham was a little embarrassed. After all, it took so long for Fang Lang to agree to serve as the captain of the new destroyer. Now he had to tell him that the warship needed him to find a way to solve it himself. The Americans are waiting to see if they will provide us with a new destroyer. As far as I know, you have a good relationship with Commodore Jackson of the US Navy. I wonder if you can find a way for your own warship. Fang Lang was unhappy when he heard what Lieutenant Colonel Graham said. What does this mean? It was you who asked me to be the captain, and it was you who talked about the new destroyer so much. Now you tell me that the Americans have not agreed yet and I have to go to the Americans to ask for the warship myself. Are you kidding me? Is this my warship or the Brazilian Navy's warship? Of course, Fang Lang could not refuse directly, so he could only express it in a tactful way. This is not good. My relationship with Commodore Jackson is not that good. Graham obviously did not believe Fang Lang's nonsense, and directly deceived him. How do you know if it works if you don't try it? After all, this is your own warship. Fang Lang would not be fooled, and shook his head again and again. I can continue to be the captain of the Chillis, responsible for transportation, while waiting for the results of your communication with the United States. Seeing that Fang Lang was a little stubborn, Graham became a little annoyed, and his words began to carry a threat. Fang, if we are the only one to negotiate, you, an inexperienced captain, will not have the opportunity to serve as the captain. But Fang Lang did not intend to be the captain of a new destroyer, so what Graham said to Fang Lang was completely wrong. That's just right. I really don't have the ability to be the captain of a destroyer. I think it's good to continue to be my transport captain. Seeing that Fang Lang did not accept the challenge, Lieutenant Colonel Graham could only block Fang Lang's retreat. The Navy will not allow a naval lieutenant commander to serve as the captain of a transport ship. In addition, I heard that the captain of the Gillis has been selected. Finally, Fang Lang felt a strong malice in Graham, which made Fang Lang feel unhappy and his tone began to become stiff. What? If the United States can't provide us with destroyers, then where will I be assigned to? Graham obviously didn't feel Fang Lang's emotional changes and was still painting a bigger picture for Fang language. It's hard to say. I heard that the higher-ups hope that you can use your connections to get a new destroyer for you and the Brazilian Navy. Fang, as a friend, I think you should believe in your influence. If you can get the new destroyer that the Brazilian Navy needs from the Americans, believe me, your position in the Navy will be unshakable. Chapter 43 Angry. If he were to no longer be the captain of the Gillis, the most likely person to take the position would be the first mate, Delator. Given his relationship with Delator, it wouldn't really have much of an impact if he were to be the captain. And if he got promoted, his subordinates would get promoted with him, which was also a good thing. So Fang Lang tried to speak in a calm tone. It's a pity that you overestimate my ability. I wonder if Delator will be the captain of the Gillis. Obviously, the Brazilian military doesn't look at ability now, and background is much more important than ability. As far as I know, Mr. Delator's ability is not enough to be the captain. Fang Lang still didn't give up and asked, then transfer another captain from the Navy, right? Considering that the Gillis was taken from the Americans after all. Fang language. In addition, General Moraes also said that the captain of the Gillis transport ship should respect Fang Lang's opinion. Unfortunately, Graham didn't think that Fang Lang's opinion was necessary for such a matter. As a soldier, he would only bother you to get a warship from the Americans. But taking the Brazilian Navy's own transport ship would not ask for your opinion as a captain. Just express your attitude in the form of an order. Okay. I don't think there is any need to hide this from you. You will know it soon. The new captain of the Gillis will be Mr. Robert Trufindis, the second mate, and Mr. Delator will continue to serve as the first mate to assist Mr. Findis. Hearing what Lieutenant Colonel Graham said, Fang Lang was so angry that he laughed. It turned out that I was the clown all the time. Fang Lang, who thought that he and Lieutenant Colonel Graham were friends, saw through Graham's face and ugly eating habits at this moment. From the first time Fang Lang organized all the crew members of the Gillis to introduce themselves, Fang Lang already knew that Findis, who was transferred from the Logistics Department to be the second mate, was obviously Lieutenant Colonel Graham's man. Fang Lang only thought that the other party was here to monitor him, but he didn't expect that he was waiting to pick peaches. Since he had seen through it, Fang Lang didn't want to continue to entangle with Graham, so he directly said to send him away. Then I understand. Mr. Lieutenant Colonel Graham, I will seriously consider your suggestion. It's late today, I will go back to rest first. Good night. Seeing that he didn't achieve his goal, and might have made Fang Lang an enemy, Lieutenant Colonel Graham was a little annoyed. He wanted to continue chatting with Fang language. A voice in English came from the side, interrupting Graham's thoughts. Excuse me, who is Fang Lang? Lieutenant Fang. This made Lieutenant Colonel Graham even more annoyed. Couldn't he see that he was communicating with Fang Lang? It was so rude that he turned around and scolded him. As a result, he saw that it was a major of the US Army. He quickly suppressed his unhappiness and pointed at Fang Lang and said, "Hello, Major. This is Fang Lang, but he is no longer a lieutenant. He is now a captain." The American major shrugged and looked at Fang Lang and said, "I'm sorry, please don't mind. I'm Jack from the US Navy Logistics Department. I have been ordered to take you to see Brigadier General Jackson." This was a timely rein for Fang Lang, who wanted to stay away from Lieutenant Colonel Graham. Fang Lang hurriedly said, "Hello, I'm Fang language. I will go with you now." After saying that, he did not say goodbye to Lieutenant Colonel Graham beside him and left directly with the major of the US Army. This made Graham unhappy for a while. He was still thinking in his heart that he was not familiar with the Americans and the relationship was not close enough. What's going on now? Someone came to pick you up just after you came back. Isn't this like burning newspapers at the grave, fooling ghosts? There was no conversation along the way. Fang Lang was taken directly to a heavily guarded residential area by the Willis Jeep of the US Army Major. It seems that this is a more private meeting. Fang Lang feels more relaxed because they are not meeting in the office anymore. After pushing the door open, he saw Brigadier General Jackson sitting on the sofa by the fireplace in pajamas, holding a cigar in his hand and puffing. When he saw Fang Lang coming in, he did not get up, but pointed to the sofa next to him and said, "Come on, come and sit here." This kind of relaxed environment can bring the two closer. Of course, Fang Lang will not be stupid enough to do the military set. He also casually looked at the environment of the house and said, "Uncle, your house is really nice. Is it your own or the Army's?" Brigadier General Jackson looked at it, and Fang Lang smiled slightly. "Of course it's the Army's. Why do I buy a house in Italy? Why do you want to get one to hide your lover?" Fang Lang really likes the location and structure of this house, and he must own a house in Italy in the future. Uncle Jackson still understands me. I do have this idea. The war will eventually end. It's not bad to buy a house in such a beautiful place and come here for a vacation. Brigadier General Jackson also understood Fang Lang's idea of buying a house and couldn't help but joked, "Your vacation is fake, but you are arranging a girl. Don't tell me that you didn't take the most beautiful nurse in our Navy hospital." This relaxed atmosphere made Fang Lang very relaxed. He thought that, since Brigadier General Jackson lived here, it meant that he also liked it here. Why not give him a house? Wouldn't it be closer for the two to be neighbors? That's right. With my handsome and chic appearance, I must take the most beautiful flower. I wonder if the house here can be purchased now. I'll buy two and leave one for Uncle. After the war, Uncle can also bring Aunt to see the kingdom that Uncle has built for her. I didn't expect Fang Lang to be so arrogant to buy a house for himself. Although he didn't lack these things, his intention was still very satisfying. It's worth recommending him. It seems that you have made a lot of money recently. Hearing that Brigadier General Jackson did not explicitly refuse, Fang Lang knew what he should do. He was never afraid of being at a disadvantage, but he was afraid that others would not accept his gifts. "This is all your care, Uncle. I don't have the ability to do it on my own." Seeing that Fang Lang was very smart and did not continue to dwell on the issue of real estate, Brigadier General Jackson smiled and said, "You have to transfer your business ability to the military, otherwise such a smart mind would be wasted, wouldn't it?" Brigadier General Jackson's words made Fang Lang's heart move. It seems that Jackson's initiative to meet him today is related to the Brazilian Navy's idea. He took the opportunity to tell the news of his promotion. "Oh, Uncle, don't underestimate me. I'm now a captain, and there is news that the Expeditionary Force headquarters will grant me the rank of major tomorrow." Jackson was originally considering that Fang Lang's rank was not enough, and it was not easy to support him. Unexpectedly, he suddenly told him that he would be a major soon. Is it so easy to get promoted in the Brazilian army? What's going on? Weren't you only a lieutenant before you returned to Brazil? How come you're being promoted twice so quickly? Fang Lang didn't hide anything and explained the whole story to Brigadier General Jackson. "Hey, this is also thanks to my uncle. I accidentally caught 2 Japanese spies after returning to Brazil. I heard that it was the first spy case uncovered after China joined the war. Therefore, China attaches great importance to it and specially sent a telegram to commend me. The Expeditionary Force is preparing to promote my rank to major." Brigadier General Jackson was very surprised to hear that Fang Lang actually caught a Japanese spy. "You also have the ability to catch spies?" Seeing Brigadier General Jackson's shocked expression, Fang Lang was a little embarrassed. He seemed to be too pretentious and hurriedly explained, "I was lucky. I saw the wanted posters of 2 spies, and I happened to bump into one of them, and I recognized it at a glance. This kind of good thing that came to my door. I'm also helpless." Fang Lang's words made Brigadier General Jackson a little bit amused and helpless. He pointed at Fang Lang with his finger holding a cigar and said, "You are taking advantage of me, kid. When he heard that Brigadier General Jackson said he got an advantage, he immediately complained about the grievances he had just suffered from Graham. "Uncle, you are wrong. This is really not a good thing. The rank has been promoted, but the next step is a change of position. The transport ship you assigned to me is going to be snatched away by these bastards. I'm so angry." The expression of a child who was wronged made Jackson laugh. "Haha. Kid, this transport ship is not given to you by me. It was allocated by the US Navy to the Brazilian Navy. It has nothing to do with me." Chapter 44 Standing. Fang Lang knew that Commodore Jackson must have expected this, but he could also take this opportunity to express his attitude to Jackson and forcibly turn the exchange of interests between countries into a personal relationship between the two. After all, Fang Lang was very clear about the influence of Americans in Brazil in the future, especially the influence on the Brazilian army. "I don't care about this. You handed it to me at that time, and I handed it over to the Expeditionary Navy. In my heart, this is what you handed to me. Unfortunately, I have no ability now, and I can only watch my ship being taken away by this bastard." Commodore Jackson is an old and shrewd person. Naturally, he understands what Fang Lang means, and can also hear Fang Lang's dissatisfaction with the Brazilian Navy. He smiled and said, "Then how does the Brazilian Navy plan to place you?" Fang Lang saw the smile on Commodore Jackson's face and thought that Jackson already knew that the Expeditionary Army was going to let him do the job of destroyer captain. "You must have known it, right?" Seeing Fang Lang looking at him with a firm face, Commodore Jackson instantly understood what the Brazilian Navy meant. "These bastards are really tricky. How would I know about your Brazilian Navy? But since you said that, I probably understand what you mean. Is it about the Expeditionary Force that recently asked us to support a destroyer?" Since Commodore Jackson said that he didn't expect the new position given to him by the Brazilian Navy to be the captain of this destroyer, Fang Lang also told him what he heard. "Yes. They said they wanted me to be the captain of a new destroyer, but now there is no sign of a warship. Isn't this playing a joke on me? They think I have a good relationship with you, so they want me to come forward to facilitate the delivery of the warship as soon as possible." When Commodore Jackson heard Fang Lang say that the Expeditionary Force Navy wanted Fang Lang to come to him to facilitate the delivery of the American destroyer, he smiled and said, "Oh, what do you think?" Fang Lang did not hide his dissatisfaction in front of Commodore Jackson and expressed strong indignation at the Expeditionary Force Navy's use of him. "Do you think I'm stupid? I don't know if I have such a big face in front of you. Even if you give me face and make this happen, they will transfer me again and directly replace me with their people as captain. Am I so stupid? I have seen through these bastards." Fang Lang was obviously very dissatisfied with the practice of the Expeditionary Navy to abandon the donkey after it has done its work. He even felt that he might become the transport captain of the Expeditionary Force in the future, but he would not get any practical benefits. Brigadier General Jackson did not expect that Fang Lang, at such a young age, could see through the ideas of the Expeditionary Navy so quickly. He could not help but look at Fang Lang differently. "I didn't expect that you, a young boy, have a good mind." Seeing that Brigadier General Jackson agreed with his judgment, Fang Lang was happy. "I said it directly. Even if I asked you to help facilitate the delivery of the destroyer again, don't say it was my own idea. It was those people in the Expeditionary Navy who wanted to use you, not me." But he said, "Look at what you said. He is your nephew after all. If he is not smart, it will be embarrassing for you." How could Fang Lang hide his thoughts from Brigadier General Jackson? But this was also the main purpose of Jackson's finding Fang Lang today, so he did not beat around the bush and directly asked, "Since you treat me as your uncle, I will not hide some things from you. Providing you with a destroyer is a small problem, but you must understand that once you become the captain of this destroyer, it means that you will be labeled as a pro-American in the Brazilian army, which may not be a good thing for you." When the word pro-American appeared, Fang Lang understood what Jackson meant. He was a staunch pro-China person, but unfortunately, you Americans are the most powerful now, and all the expeditionary forces were pro-American when they return home. If he became a pro-American in your mind earlier, he could get a higher position in the expeditionary force faster, and he would be able to get a better position when he returned to Brazil in the future. Wouldn't it be better to have a pro-American cloak to cover up his pro-China identity? So he said carelessly, haha, Uncle Jackson, look at what you said. I'm a pro-American. Do I need to label myself again? Even if I say I'm not a pro-American, will anyone in the Brazilian army believe it? At this time, Brazil has not completely turned to the United States, because President Vargas is very clear about the United States' ambitions in the Americas. Unfortunately, Vargas can't hold on for long. With the achievements made by the United States in World War II, the United States will have a strong influence on most countries in the world after the war. The United States will never allow Brazil, a major American country, to become a sharp knife inserted by the Soviet Union in the Americas. So when the Americans found that Brazilian President Vargas could not stand completely on their side, they began to lay out an advance. Supporting pro-American factions in the army is the most effective means for the United States. When these Brazilian expeditionary soldiers came into contact with the so-called democratic and free ideas in Europe, they would definitely be dissatisfied with the practices of some domestic politicians when they returned to the country, which directly led to the subsequent multiple coups in the Brazilian army. So Brigadier General Jackson really treated Fang Lang as his nephew and revealed some high-level situations in Brazil to Fang Lang. You kid must understand that the current Brazilian President Vargas does not like pro-American people very much. Although he is now cooperating with us in the United States, he has just established the Labour Party in Brazil. The interests of this party are not consistent with American values. Unfortunately, as a time traveler, Fang Lang knew very well that the Americans would be the victorious party in the end. He certainly would not take a detour, but said directly, so what? I'm just a small officer. If he doesn't like me, whether I'm pro-American or not, won't I be crushed to death like an ant? Fang Lang's answer made Jackson very happy. He was happy that he had completed Lieutenant General Chambers' task, and he was also happy that Fang Lang made the right choice. So he said to Fang Lang with a smile on his face, okay, since you have chosen to make yourself a staunch pro-American, come to my office tomorrow afternoon and I will take you to see someone. Hearing that Commodore Jackson was going to take him to see someone, Fang Lang was stunned. Isn't it enough for you, a Commodore, to communicate these things? But thinking about it, it might introduce him to higher level leaders of the US Navy. Of course, Fang Lang would not refuse a good opportunity to expand his network. Pretending to be surprised, he said, who to meet? Uncle, you are not really going to help me with the destroyer thing. But I don't want to be the captain of a destroyer. I still have a lot of business to do. If I go to war, what about my business? Seeing that Fang Lang was still thinking about his business at this time, he couldn't help but get angry. Climbing to a higher position in a place like the Brazilian army, wouldn't it be easy to make a fortune with the support of Americans? But thinking about it, his business can also bring him profits, so he had to speak up to solve his worries. You kid, with me here, are you still worried that your transport fleet will be left unattended? Don't worry. I know your father-in-law Cohens, and I have already told him that no matter where your ships are going in the future, I will arrange an escort fleet for you throughout the journey. You can just focus on developing in the army. In fact, Fang Lang really didn't want to drive a naval warship and fight the Germans. If it was to fight the Japanese, there would be absolutely no second thought. He would fire 2 shots at a transport ship to transport supplies, but he really had no interest in fighting the Germans. But I don't know how to fight in the Navy. I wonder if there are any other ships that don't need naval warfare that can be handed over to me, like amphibious landing ships to transport soldiers, or medical ships to transport nurses. Fang Lang's words made Brigadier General Jackson stunned. I don't know if he was afraid of death, or for some other reason. He was afraid of death. He fought bravely in the army and saved John's life under enemy fire. He was not afraid of death. When he arrived in the Navy, he was unwilling to drive a warship to fight. But Commodore Jackson finally found a pro-American naval officer and wanted to support him. He would not let him go to a non-combat position, so he refused directly. You can learn if you don't know how to drive a ship. Do you know how to drive a ship naturally? Since you have mastered the skills of ship driving, I believe it will be easy for you to learn to drive a destroyer. As for the amphibious landing ship you mentioned, now that the landing is completed, where are you going to do it? Retirement? Don't even think about the medical ship. Even if we give it to you, your Brazilian Expeditionary Force may not want it. Okay, don't talk to me anymore. It's late. Go back. I'm going to sleep. See you tomorrow. Looking at Commodore Jackson, who directly issued the order to expel him, Fang Lang was helpless. It seemed that he could not escape the fate of driving a destroyer. He couldn't help thinking in his heart, a destroyer is a destroyer, but this time it must be all our own people, and in the future it must be all our own people. Don't think about letting yourself be the transport captain for you Brazilian bureaucrats. Chapter 45, Lieutenant Commander. The next morning, Italy was still ruled by winter in March. Fang Lang and his first mate De La Tour drove a Willys Jeep to the Brazilian Expeditionary Force headquarters early. The headquarters was heavily guarded, and the two were arranged to wait in a reception room. De La Tour saw the captain rank on Fang Lang's collar badge, and congratulated him from the bottom of his heart. Sir, congratulations. I didn't expect you to be a captain so soon. Seeing De La Tour's envious expression, Fang Lang smiled and said, Old lady, don't be envious. You will become a captain later. What, sir? Are you serious? You know why we are here this time, right? Fang Lang's words made De La Tour very happy. He knew that this young officer had a wide range of contacts between the Brazilian Expeditionary Force and the US Army, so it was not surprising that he could receive the notice in advance. Don't be happy too early. This matter may not be a good thing for us. Seeing De La Tour's face full of uncontrollable excitement, Fang Lang couldn't help but shook his head and poured a basin of cold water on him. Sir, what's wrong? Fang Lang didn't want to affect his good mood. He thought about it and didn't say anything. He just shook his head and didn't say anything. His attitude made De La Tour a little confused. But since Fang Lang didn't explain, he couldn't ask any more questions. He could only control his excitement a little, his trembling hands, and wait quietly. Soon a soldier came to inform the two to go to the conference room to attend the rank awarding meeting. The meeting will be presided over by General Morris, the commander of the Expeditionary Force. De La Tour heard that the rank awarding would be presided over by General Morris himself. His mood, which had just calmed down, began to get excited again. After all, this is the Brazilian Marshal. Not everyone has the opportunity to see it. There were 5 other officers participating in the awarding. From the armbands on their uniforms, it can be seen that there are officers from the Army and the Air Force. Only Fang Lang and De La Tour are from the Navy. Looking at everyone's excited expressions, Fang Lang felt a little bored. It's not that he was not excited about being awarded the rank of Major, but he felt very unhappy when he thought that he was used to obtain warships from the United States. Obviously, he has not yet realized that being able to be used also means that he has value to be used. There are still many people who want to be used, but no one is willing to use him. However, Fang Lang also understands that he does not have enough strength now. As long as he has the strength to protect himself in the Brazilian army, no one will dare to use him like this. In the future, it is more likely that everyone will beg him. The ceremony of awarding ranks during the war was grand and concise, and not much time was wasted. The highest leaders of the 3 services of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force were all present, and the Navy was in the most embarrassing position. Because the reasons for the awarding of ranks by the Army and Air Force were all because of their heroic fighting and outstanding merits. That is, the awarding of military merits. Only Fang Lang and De La Tour, 2 Navy officers, were awarded because they caught 2 Japanese spies in Brazil. This made Fang Lang feel very embarrassed for a while. After all, in Fang Lang's mind, as a soldier, meritorious service and awards should also come from military merits, not other things. If he is an agent of the Military Intelligence Bureau, it is natural to be awarded for capturing 2 spies. But it seems out of place for a Navy officer to be awarded the rank of Major for catching spies. Therefore, Fang Lang had a serious face throughout the ceremony and was not as excited as other comrades. Although Fang Lang had a serious face all the time, he wanted to escape from the ceremony quickly. Unfortunately, it did not go as he wished. At the end of the meeting, Colonel Percy of the Navy called Fang Lang and took him to a large office to sit down without saying anything to him. The 2 of them waited quietly for a while, and General Morris strode in. The 2 of them stood up quickly. General, good morning. General Maurice walked behind the desk without stopping, pointed to the original seats of the two and said, "Both of you sit down. This time I called you two here, mainly to talk to you about how to build personnel, how to carry out training, and how to rely on this warship to develop our own new navy in the future, after receiving a new destroyer from the US Navy. I would like to hear your opinions first." Fang Lang noticed that Colonel Percy was obviously stunned, and he obviously did not receive the news that the Brazilian Navy would receive a destroyer from the US Navy. This situation obviously made Fang Lang's heart begin to have some profound meaning. It seems that Colonel Percy is not General Maurice's confidant. Lieutenant Colonel Graham knew everything, but as the nominal highest person in charge of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force Navy, Colonel Percy knew nothing. This made Fang Lang cautious. It seems that the Brazilian Expeditionary Force is not as simple as it seems on the surface. There are also many factions here. However, Fang Lang also had a rough guess in his mind. As the commander of the Expeditionary Force, General Maurice must represent the interests of one party, and Colonel Percy obviously belongs to President Vargas. Unexpectedly, the Brazilian Expeditionary Force that President Vargas had finally established was not in the same mind as him. It is no wonder that he was driven out of office by a military coup. These are obviously all Vargas's own faults. As a dictatorial leader, he actually believed in his political influence and tried to promote democratic politics in Brazil. He also formed a political party and gave up military power. Obviously, he has not seriously studied the great man's theory that power comes from the barrel of a gun. Percy did not look at Fang language. He knew that Fang Lang had an American backer, and he might know the news. But how could he comment on something he didn't know at all? But the general was asking questions, and he couldn't let the conversation go cold, so he began to express his opinions on how to build the team of personnel he knew best. It would be unreasonable not to arrange his own people to go on this new type of destroyer, and General Maurice also said that he would rely on this warship to develop our own new navy. If there were no personnel of his own on this warship, wouldn't the Brazilian Navy have nothing to do with him in the future? So Colonel Percy began to recommend the candidates he thought were suitable for each position on the destroyer, and General Maurice did not object. Instead, he waited until he finished speaking, and then looked at Fang Lang and said, "Major Fang, as the captain of the new destroyer who is about to take office, what do you think?" General Maurice's words made Colonel Percy's expression stiff again, and he turned to look at Fang Lang with a serious face. He never thought that, after talking here for a long time, and recommending candidates for various positions, it turned out that the real candidates had already been decided. He couldn't help but feel embarrassed. He didn't expect to make such a big fool of himself in front of his subordinates. It seems that his days in the Brazilian Expeditionary Force will become more and more difficult. At this time, he also realized that the reason why General Maurice kept him and Fang Lang together was to plant a thorn between him and Fang language. And he was still stupidly helping to count the money after being sold. Fang Lang didn't know what to say about the situation in front of him. After all, he didn't have much experience in participating in such political struggles. But he knew in his heart that no matter how much he said now, it would be useless, including General Maurice. He couldn't decide everything. The Americans could really make the decision. Whether it was personnel establishment or training, it must be assessed by the Americans. If the Americans said that you failed the assessment and were not suitable for this position, then no matter how well you performed, it would be useless. Vice versa. So Fang Lang said directly, "General, I have no experience in this, and I will follow your instructions." Hearing that Fang Lang didn't express his opinion, General Maurice was also stunned. Didn't this kid understand what he meant? He spoke again to confirm, "Oh, you don't have any requirements for personnel." Fang Lang heard General Maurice's words, which obviously told him that he could arrange some of his own people to join the new destroyer. This made Fang Lang's heart start to become active again. After all, there are 300 to 400 crew members on a destroyer. If there are no one of their own, it is easy to be sidelined. This is definitely not okay. He quickly said, "If I'm the captain, I hope to be able to select some suitable personnel from my original transport ship. After hearing this, General Moraes nodded and said, "Okay, then do it according to your idea. You can discuss the specific candidates with Colonel Parisi. I hope to see our new destroyer form combat effectiveness as soon as possible." After speaking, he signaled that the two could leave. When Fang Lang walked out of the general's office in a daze, he was still confused. What's the situation? He didn't even make it clear. He threw out a topic and ended it without explaining it clearly. He also executed it according to my idea. How can this be executed? It seems that I didn't agree with Lieutenant Colonel Graham to be the captain of the new destroyer yesterday. Now he has become the captain of the new destroyer without knowing it. Chapter 46. Be frank. Fang Lang stayed in General Moraes' office for less than 10 minutes. When he came out, he not only became the captain of a new destroyer, but also had some estrangement with Colonel Parisi. He had no foundation in the Navy. Now it was obvious that General Moraes belonged to the largest faction in the military. He was obviously being used by them. If he didn't want to be used by them, he obviously couldn't follow them completely, otherwise he would be easily sidelined. Therefore, Fang Lang couldn't help but look at Colonel Parisi beside him. No matter what would happen to Colonel Parisi in the future, at least, he was still the highest person in charge of the Brazilian Expeditionary Navy. And Colonel Parisi didn't show any hostility to him, so he could form a certain tacit understanding with him. "Sir, what's going on? Am I going to be the captain of the new destroyer?" Fang Lang's words made Colonel Parisi look at him in astonishment. Seeing the expression on Fang Lang's face, he didn't seem to be pretending, and couldn't help but ask in confusion, "Didn't you know the news in advance? Last night, Lieutenant Colonel Graham talked to me and hoped that I could go to the US Navy to ask for a new destroyer. If I succeeded, I would be the captain, but I didn't agree. What's going on today?" Fang Lang felt that there was nothing to hide about this matter. He believed that, even if he didn't say it, everyone would know it soon, so he said it very frankly. Hearing Fang Lang's answer, Colonel Parisi couldn't help but fall into deep thought. After thinking for a while, he said, "The current situation is that General Moraes agreed to let you select personnel and form this new destroyer, and you have actually agreed to be the captain of this destroyer. So the matter of the destroyer is now your own business." Colonel Parisi's words stunned Fang language. It became his own business? Damn, there is such a trick. No wonder he can be the commander of the Expeditionary Force. This trick is really hard to guard against. So, now I have to do it, right? Seeing Fang Lang's confused expression, Colonel Parisi finally smiled. "You kid, don't be born in a blessed situation, and don't know how to be grateful. As a naval veteran, let me remind you that General Moraes' words about using your destroyer to develop our new navy are definitely not a joke. The Brazilian Navy is already isolated in a corner, and all its warships are old equipment from the First World War. Can a navy without even radar be called a navy? Look at the main forces of naval battles now, all of which are aircraft carriers, and our Brazilian Navy has not even touched the edge of aircraft carriers. How do you think we can gain a foothold in the world in the future?" Patting Fang Lang on the shoulder, he pointed to the jeep lane outside. "Let's talk while we walk." Fang Lang had no problem with it, and waved to De La Tour in the distance, indicating that he would follow the colonel's car. Colonel Parisi said, "Tell your first mate to sit in my car, you drive, and we can talk alone." He understood that Colonel Parisi wanted to talk to him alone, and it was inconvenient for others to be present, so his driver should be excluded. Fang Lang and Colonel Parisi walked to his car again, asked De La Tour to sit in the colonel's car, and took the colonel with him, and started driving to the naval base. Colonel Parisi sat in the car, tightened his windbreaker, looked at the beautiful scenery of Italy and said, "The winter in Italy is really cold. Brazil is warmer." Fang Lang didn't know if he meant something else, but what he said was indeed the truth. Brazil's latitude is relatively low, and most of the country is in the tropics. Many people have never seen snow in their lives, so it is natural to feel that Italy is cold. Yes, Brazil is much warmer. Fang, I believe you can see that I'm not welcome in the Brazilian Expeditionary Force now. Do you know why? This time, Colonel Parisi came straight to the point without hiding anything, and there was no charades like in the past. Unfortunately, Fang Lang didn't know how to respond to this. After all, This was his immediate superior. Colonel Percy didn't really wait for Fang Lang to answer, but said to himself, I'm a fellow countryman of President Vargas, and I'm considered to be one of President Vargas' people. Because of some domestic political issues, President Vargas is gradually losing the trust of the military. We are still in a state of war, and people like me will not be affected. We should just be marginalized slowly. So, don't be surprised. Fang Lang was a little surprised by Percy's frankness. He didn't expect that Colonel Percy would suddenly say this to him. It sounded a bit heart to heart, which made Fang Lang very uncomfortable. Now that General Moraes has chosen you to be the captain of the new destroyer of the Expeditionary Navy, no matter what the reason is, I think you should seize this opportunity. The reason why you did not agree to become the captain of the destroyer yesterday should be because you felt that you were being used. Colonel Percy's words surprised Fang language. He did not expect that Percy could see through his thoughts so easily. Since others were so frank, he did not have any bad feelings towards Colonel Percy. Besides, more friends mean more paths. He did not belong to that faction at the moment. Anyone with a discerning eye should be able to see what's going on with me. So after thinking about it, I felt that there was nothing to hide, so I nodded and said, I do feel like I'm being used. After all, my relationship with Commodore Jackson is just a personal relationship. If I use this relationship to promote the Brazilian Navy's plan, it may hurt my friendship with Commodore Jackson. Fang Lang's words made Colonel Percy smile slightly, and he looked at Fang Lang's young face seriously and said, you are indeed very young and a little naive. How do you know that the Americans are not using you? Yes. Isn't my current situation the pro-American faction that the United States wants to support? I'm also being used by the Americans. Since both sides are using me, what else should I be entangled with? At this time, if I don't try to please both sides and expand my own interests, am I stupid? I don't even take advantage of the Americans. What am I thinking? These equipments are not Commodore Jackson's, and the American taxpayers pay for them. My company in the United States also pays taxes. Isn't it natural for me to get back some interest? Seeing Fang Lang's expression of sudden enlightenment, Percy smiled even happier. Your role now is very subtle. Everyone wants to find a little balance through you. Therefore, you are very important to both sides now. This is the best time for you to gain benefits. So this destroyer is a seed. Whether it can grow and develop depends on your own ability. Fang Lang is obviously not a stupid person. Colonel Percy's words almost pointed out the direction of development for Fang language. I understand. Thank you for your guidance, sir. Fang Lang will never forget your kindness. Colonel Percy smiled and shook his head and said, I'm not telling you this for no reason. Since you are the future hope of the Brazilian Navy, and I'm about to leave the stage of history, I have some friends who are still serving in the Navy. I hope you can take care of them in the future. Fang Lang understood Colonel Percy's meaning in seconds. He really needs to cultivate some of his own power now. Looking at the current situation, some people around Colonel Percy can obviously be absorbed. It's just that you have to choose carefully. Ability is important, but whether they are loyal to you is more important. Of course, no problem. You can give me their names and I will include them in the crew list of the new destroyer for inspection. The colonel smiled and stretched out his right hand. Fang Lang also pulled out his right hand. The two held their hands tightly together, and they reached a preliminary agreement. Then how do you plan to arrange it? Fang Lang looked at Colonel Percy, who had a calm face beside him. I will stick to you until the end of the war to avoid unnecessary trouble. After the war, I will retire directly and return to my hometown to buy a large farm and enjoy the rest of my life. Fang Lang didn't expect Colonel Percy to say that he would stick to him until the end of the war. Doesn't this mean that he is waiting for him to take over his position? There are only less than 2 months left in the war. How can he become a naval colonel in such a short time when he is so young? He dare not take this seriously. But when Colonel Percy said that he wanted to go home and buy a farm, Fang Lang's heart moved. Colonel, your home is in Rio Grande do Sul, right? Yes, Porto Alegre. How about, are you interested in visiting my hometown? Colonel Percy was not surprised that Fang Lang knew where his hometown was. After all, He had just said that he and the president were from the same hometown, and the president's home was in Rio Grande do Sul. Chapter 47 New position confirmed. Rio Grande do Sul is the southernmost state in Brazil. It is the primary agricultural and pastoral area in later generations of Brazil. Its grain production accounts for about half of Brazil. For Brazil, a country located on the Brazilian plateau, this is a rare low-altitude area except for the Amazon rainforest area, and it is very livable. Most of the current residents of Rio Grande do Sul are descendants of German and Italian immigrants. Compared with the central coastal areas, the population is even sparser. It is Fang Lang's first choice for settling Chinese people. I wonder if the land price in Rio Grande do Sul is high now. Why? Fang, do you also want to live in my hometown? You are very welcome, my friend. The land price in my hometown is very cheap, and there is still a lot of land that has not been reclaimed, because population has always been an important reason restricting our development. Speaking of his hometown, Rio Grande do Sul, Colonel Percy felt very proud and warmly invited Fang Lang to settle in his hometown. There are many people in my hometown who want to immigrate to Brazil and settle down. If possible, I will recommend Rio Grande do Sul to them. I also want to own a property there. After all, Sao Paulo is still too hot. Really? Fang, my brother works at the Rio Grande do Sul Immigration Bureau. If you need help, please tell me directly. Don't be polite. Fang Lang didn't expect to have such a harvest today. If Percy really retired after the war and returned to his hometown, maybe he could use him to settle many Chinese immigrants. Of course, this is still an idle move now. After all, the Japanese have not surrendered yet, and there is no way to take the people of the motherland out of the Japanese occupied area. In this way, the two chatted about the scenery and humanities of Rio Grande do Sul all the way, as if the deal reached before did not exist at all. Soon they returned to the naval base. Since it is inevitable that he will serve as the captain of a destroyer, Fang Lang must start preparing in advance. First, he found his first mate Delator. Since he was promoted to the rank of captain, he still could not serve as the captain of the Gillis, so he might as well let him return to his old job, the first mate of a destroyer. After receiving the invitation from Fang Lang, Delator agreed without any hesitation. He didn't even have time to say that he would be the first mate of the current second mate, Norbert Rufendis, in the future. In fact, Delator's idea is very simple. He is a first mate with no background and no money. In the Brazilian Navy, there is basically no hope of promotion. It is rare to meet a good superior who thinks highly of him. The key is a visible thick thigh. How can he not hold on tight? Considering that Delator has many years of service experience in the Brazilian Navy and knows a lot of people, Fang Lang gave Delator another task, asking him to make a list of naval officers and soldiers who he thinks are real, but because of no background, no money and other reasons, they have not been promoted, so that he can come to inspect. After lunch, Fang Lang came to Commodore Jackson's office early. Under the leadership of Commodore Jackson, they knocked on the door of Vice Admiral Chambers' office. General, this is what I told you about. Major Fang Lang of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force. Major Fang, this is Lieutenant General Amuro Chambers, Commander-in-Chief of the 4th Fleet of the United States. Brigadier General Jackson first introduced the two to each other. General, this is Lieutenant Commander Fang Lang of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, reporting to you. It's an honor to meet you. Fang Lang stood at attention and saluted. Looking at Fang Lang's salute, Lieutenant General Chambers nodded slightly. Regardless of Fang Lang's ability, at least his military appearance was very satisfactory. Major Fang, hello. Such a young major officer is really young and promising. Lieutenant General Chambers was still very surprised at Fang Lang's youth. After all, he was young and unsophisticated, and he didn't know if he could be the captain of a new destroyer. General, this is all thanks to Mr. Brigadier General and your promotion. Fang Lang did not hesitate to give the credit of becoming a major at such a young age to the American general, telling him clearly that the reason why he was able to become a major officer was because of the Americans standing behind him. As for his personal ability, it is useless to just talk about it. When he shows his achievements, it will be more useful than saying more. General, don't be confused by his youth. This is a little fox. He is very successful in business. He has a flexible mind and is experienced in dealing with things. Brigadier General Jackson was obviously worried about Lieutenant General Chambers and looked down on Fang Lang, a young naval lieutenant. He quickly praised him beside him. Lieutenant General Chambers glanced at Brigadier General Jackson with a deep meaning and said to Fang Lang without comment, "Major Fang Lang, what do you think of the relationship between Brazil and the United States?" I didn't expect Lieutenant General Chambers to bring up such a big topic. Shouldn't this be discussed with the president? Asking yourself, a small naval lieutenant, is it not appropriate? Besides, don't you have any idea about the relationship between Brazil and the United States? You Americans treat the entire Latin America as your own backyard. When there is a need, you give some aid. When there is no need, you throw it aside to fend for itself. If other forces intervene, you will start to stir up trouble. The economy of the entire Latin American country cannot develop. There are constant coups, rampant gangs, and drug abuse. Aren't these all deliberately done by you? Think about it. After the victory of World War II, the United States focused on the revival of Europe and the Cold War, and did not care about the development of Brazil. When Brazil began to move closer to the Soviet Union, the United States began to interfere, causing political chaos in Brazil, and it was difficult to develop. However, Fang Lang would definitely not say the face of the United States that he had seen through. After all, the influence of the United States on Brazil is too great. If he showed it, he would probably die young soon. But he had to take advantage of the fact that the United States is now in need of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force to accumulate more capital and dig more benefits. I think the United States and Brazil should be loyal allies, and Brazil should be a loyal follower of the United States. After all, we represent the interests of the entire Americas. Brazil should stand firmly on the same side with the United States in any aspect. He said insincerely, but his expression was passionate. Fang Lang couldn't help but think in his heart, how could I become so shameless? Could it be that telling lies with open eyes is my innate skill? This skill tree seems to be wrong. When Lieutenant General Chambers and Brigadier General Jackson heard Fang Lang's words, their eyes lit up. Isn't this the little liquor we need? The young man has a future, vision, and ideas, and deserves our strong support. You are indeed a very visionary young man with great ideas. I admire you very much. I heard that you are also the lifesaver of General Clark's son. You are indeed a good friend of us Americans. Lieutenant General Chambers smiled, and he liked the term loyal follower very much. He felt that this word should be included in the report submitted to the White House. Thank you for your compliment, General. I still have a lot to learn and grow in. I hope to receive your guidance and help. Fang Lang's talent was online. He said humble words with a serious expression, which made Vice Admiral Chambers very comfortable. Is it fair not to support such a friend? What's more, Fang Lang's label in the Brazilian army is that he has an American background. Even if he says he doesn't, no one will believe it. So it is definitely in the interests of the United States to support such a pro-American faction. I heard that the Brazilian Expeditionary Force wants us to support a destroyer this time, and you will be the captain, right? Yes, General. I'm very honored to be able to drive an American destroyer and fight with the United States. Victory will belong to us. Brigadier General Jackson looked at Fang Lang in a daze. Is this still the guy who was unwilling to serve as the captain of the destroyer yesterday? Could it be that he changed people overnight? Fortunately, it is in the interests of the United States for Fang Lang to be the captain of the destroyer, and with the relationship between Jackson and Fang Lang, he will not jump out to dismantle Fang Lang's stage at this time. Very good, Fang. Thank you for coming. I believe you will soon become the captain of Brazil's most advanced destroyer. I hope you can form your own team as soon as possible, go to the United States for training, and come back to participate in the battle as soon as possible. With General Chambers' nod, it would be a foregone conclusion that Brazil would receive the US-aided destroyers. Chapter 48, Building a New Team. When leaving, Commodore Jackson did not go with Fang Lang, but was kept by Vice Admiral Chambers. Jackson, the person you recommended is very good. I'm very satisfied. I will recommend him to General Marshall. Commodore Jackson was also very satisfied that the candidate he recommended was favored by Vice Admiral Chambers. He said modestly, "It all serves the general's plan." Chambers was very satisfied with Commodore Jackson's performance and rarely asked for his opinion. "What kind of destroyer do you think we should provide to Brazil?" There is actually no conclusion on what kind of destroyer to provide to Brazil. At this time, the most advanced destroyer in the United States must be the Gearing class. It is definitely impossible to provide such a destroyer, which is not common in the US Navy, to Brazil. After all, Brazil is not that important. The main warships equipped by the US Navy are the Allen Sumner class destroyers, with a number of about 70 ships. It is an enlarged model of the Fletcher class destroyer and the best destroyer in World War II. It was not until 1975 that it began to be gradually retired from the US Navy. Many of them were sold to third world countries after retirement, and they did not completely withdraw from the stage of history until the 1990s. The largest number of them is of course the Fletcher class destroyer, with a number of more than 170 ships, and they are the absolute main force in the battle against the Japanese in the South Pacific battlefield. It was almost in the 1970s that they began to be gradually retired. If you want to provide it to Brazil, my suggestion is that the Fletcher class is enough. After all, this is also our largest number of destroyers. If it is too backward, it will hurt the feelings of the Brazilians. Commodore Jackson is an American general after all, and it is impossible for him to be willing to provide the most advanced warships in the United States to Brazil, even if it is the British ally. Since we have the same idea, then I will send a telegram to the country to apply for the allocation of a Fletcher class to the Brazilians. Since the Brazilians have a new destroyer, they must join our escort operations on the Atlantic route. I hope our young captain friend can show us his ability. Otherwise, we can't find a better reason to continue to support him in the future. Vice Admiral Chambers took a deep puff of cigar and said, at this time, Fang Lang, who had returned to the Gillis, was calling his crew members to his side one by one, and had a one-on-one conversation with them, asking if they were willing to serve on the destroyer. After all, the destroyer was going to the front line, and he had to choose those crew members who were willing to fight with him. Although he had only been the captain of the Gillis for 2 months, many crew members became his loyal fans, whether it was his work ability or the allowances he paid to the crew members. After an in-depth conversation, 20 crew members on the Gillis were willing to follow Fang Lang to serve on the destroyer, including the first mate de la Tour and the chief engineer Amarina. Obviously, 20 crew members were a drop in the bucket for a destroyer that needed more than 350 people. In the next few days, Fang Lang was busy interviewing various people every day, including the 15 people on the list provided to him by de la Tour, and the people provided to him by Colonel Percy. There were also people led by Lieutenant Colonel Graham. Unfortunately, Lieutenant Colonel Graham didn't know that he was now an out-and-out bastard in Fang Lang's mind, and Fang Lang would not let his men in again. Finally, Fang Lang even used Colonel Percy to get two childhood friends he brought back from Sao Paulo into his team. While Fang Lang was forming a destroyer team for himself in a cigarette factory far away in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Yang Zhang and others finally made several cigarettes with unique flavors based on the ideas provided by Fang language. Everyone try these cigarettes and see which one you think is the best. There were 5 flavors of cigarettes in front of Yang Zhang, all of which were made according to the new production process and with different flavors added. After trying them, several factory technicians were greatly surprised. They didn't expect that the cigarettes would have such changes after being treated in this way. I didn't expect this kind of cigarette to have a sweet taste. It's amazing. I don't like the sweet ones. I like this one. It's mellow enough and has a long aftertaste. But I like this kind of light fragrance. It has a floral scent. It's so nice. This rose scent is even better. I will only smoke this kind in the future. Don't you like this mint flavor? I dare say it will be a big seller. Everyone discussed the different feelings of several different flavors of cigarettes. Almost all the good reviews made Yang Zhang very excited. He directly announced the success of the cigarette test and began to readjust the production line and formulate a new production process. According to the instructions left by Fang Lang, the Good Luck cigarette brand was established. New packaging was made for each flavor of cigarettes, and production began to be organized. The acquired newspaper has also begun to relay out according to Fang Lang's instructions, renamed Brazil Times, and distributed throughout Brazil. In the early stage, it was distributed to governments, major schools, hospitals, banks and other places in the form of free gifts. According to Fang Lang's guidance, the Brazilian Times often attracts customers with sensational headlines, and the actual content is no longer boring, which is completely different from the current newspapers. Therefore, it quickly gained a foothold in Brazil, and once the new printing press purchased by Fang Lang from the United States arrived, it could quickly occupy the Brazilian public opinion position. Although the Brazilian Times attracts customers with headlines, it never has any political inclinations, and often tells news events in the form of storytelling, which greatly surprised the propaganda department, which had just abolished book and newspaper censorship, and began to focus on the development of the Brazilian Times. After a week of repeated screening, Fang Lang, who was far away in Italy, finally built his own team. Some special positions, such as radar, sonar and other arms with relatively high professional skills requirements, will be organized to go to the United States with Fang Lang for a month of professional skills training. A group of 20 people took a US military transport plane to the east coast of the United States after several twists and turns. Fang Lang and the new Deputy Captain de la Tour were sent to the West Point Military Academy in New York, USA, for a month-long pre-job training. The other crew members were also sent to different locations to participate in corresponding job training. In the United States, the training was mainly for new technology arms such as radar, sonar, fire control, and engine. Others studied on a destroyer following the US Navy in Italy. After arriving in New York, the US Navy Department sent them to the temporary training class at the West Point Military Academy by a special car. Because it was only a short-term training, they were not arranged to live on campus. Fortunately, Fang Lang had informed Won Chang-sin before departure and rented a small apartment for the two near West Point. Because of the long journey, it took more than 30 hours. When they arrived in the United States, it was midnight, so after packing their luggage, they fell asleep directly. The next morning, when Fang Lang was still sleeping soundly, Won Chang-sin had already knocked on Fang Lang's door. "Boss, good morning. I brought you a special breakfast from Chinatown. I wonder if you have eaten it." After Won Chang-sin entered the house, he casually put the oil paper bag he brought on the table and took out the things inside one by one. "Hey, Arzin, are you up so early every day?" Fang Lang looked at the sun that had just risen outside the window and said with some surprise, "Of course not. It's just that I haven't seen the boss for so long, and there are many things I need to report to you. I'm afraid you'll have to go to class soon, so I can only come to disturb you before you go to class." After saying that, he pushed a breakfast in front of Fang Lang and said, "This is century egg and lean meat porridge and fried dough sticks. Would you like to try it?" "Okay. I haven't eaten these things for a long time. Let's talk while we eat." Fang Lang looked at the breakfast in front of him, and he was not polite. He looked at de la Tour, who came out of another room, and said, "Oldie, this is my friend Arzin. Here is the breakfast he brought. Come and try it together." After the two nodded to each other, de la Tour sat directly next to Fang Lang, looked at the porridge that Fang Lang pushed in front of him, and ate it without hesitation. He made a tut-tut sound from time to time, and was obviously very satisfied with this breakfast. "Thanks to Rem Likes Me the Most, Your Fine Kitty in Reading IOS, Changi EU, and Lonely Patient 11 for their awards, as well as the monthly tickets and recommendations from everyone. As a novice author, I'm humbled by your recognition. Please rest assured that I will take this novel seriously. I have seen all the comments and messages from readers, but due to time constraints, I have not been able to reply to them one by one. I deeply apologize. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you for your suggestions. Please rest assured that I have a complete outline for this novel, and I have also found a lot of historical materials. I hope to get more votes and collections. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Work Report. Seeing that Delator was enjoying his meal, Fang Lang did not care. After all, Fang Lang was very confident in the fighting power of Chinese food. He did not care about Delator, who was eating breakfast, and looked at Wan Changxin and said, "There are so many breakfasts, you haven't eaten yet. Let's eat together and chat." Wan Changxin was not a shy person. He got up early in the morning, bought breakfast and came over, but he really didn't eat it. So, he didn't hesitate to pick up the breakfast on the table and started to cook. "Well, then I won't be polite. How is the matter about the penicillin production equipment and production process that I asked you to ask last time?" Fang Lang asked while drinking porridge. "This time I came here to explain this matter to you. I have inquired from many sources. Although the drug penicillin is not protected by patents, its preparation process and production equipment are confidential. We have no way to buy production equipment on the market." Wan Changxin put down the porridge in his hand, picked up a fried dough stick, shook his head and spoke. Fang Lang was surprised to hear that he couldn't buy production equipment. Isn't America a free world? Why don't you sell production equipment for something without patent protection? This is a life-saving thing. Fang Lang will not give up so easily. He took a sip of the porridge in his hand and then slowly said, "I understand. How about this? You will send a telegram to Commodore Jackson of the US 4th Fleet in my name, stating that I want to buy a penicillin production line, and see what he says. At the same time, if the formal channels cannot be obtained, have you tried other channels? We must prepare for the worst. If the formal channels cannot be obtained, then we will find informal channels. No matter whether the cat is black or white, it is a good cat if it can catch mice. Do you understand?" Hearing Fang Lang's words, Wan Changxin was a little embarrassed. He looked at Fang Lang hesitantly and said, "Although I grew up in Chinatown, my mother asked me, when she was still alive, that I could not get involved in gangs, even if I starved to death. So, although I know where the Chinese gangs in Chinatown are, I have no intersection at all. I didn't expect that in this era, there are still people like Wan Changxin who live in Chinatown and don't come into contact with gangs. No wonder he was so miserable when I first met him." However, Fang Lang thought that this was a good idea. A formal company would follow the formal process, and it would be clean when checked. This was better. It would be better to find a dedicated person to take charge of the informal channels. Wouldn't his uncle be a very suitable candidate? This is also good. You can use your own channels to help confirm who is the person in charge of the hangman in New York. I will find someone else to take charge of this line. Remember, you only need to find out who the person in charge is and where to find them. You don't have to contact them yourself." Delator, who was standing aside, saw that the two were communicating in English throughout the whole process and did not avoid him. He didn't know what he thought of, so he stood up and said, "You guys chat, I'll go outside to take a look." Fang Lang understood what he meant. Obviously, seeing that the topic they were talking about was a bit sensitive, he was worried that others would hear it, so he went outside to keep watch. Fang Lang was not polite, patted his arm and nodded. But Delator thought that Fang Lang trusted him and allowed him to sit in on the meeting, but he couldn't know too much about the leader's private affairs. If someone forced him to get information from Fang Lang, and he told others, he would be a nobody. It would be better not to know too much. No matter how many people asked him, he would know nothing. Seeing Delator's actions, Wan Changxin couldn't help but look at him twice and nodded to him. After Delator left, the two began to communicate in Chinese. "Boss, you don't need to investigate this information. After all, I grew up in Chinatown. There are many gangs in New York Chinatown. The most powerful one is the hangman you mentioned. However, the headquarters of hangman is in San Francisco, and the one in New York is a branch. The leader is my fellow Fujianese, Fang Jinao, and he should be almost 50 years old. I don't know where his home is, but I know that they usually hang out in a big restaurant in Chinatown called Sahayajia. If there is a most powerful gang in the United States, it must be them." Unexpectedly, Wan Changxin, who is not involved in gangs, actually knows so much about the gang situation. Fang Lang couldn't help but look at him twice with an expression that said, "You kid are not framing me. Boss, don't be surprised. I have a friend who grew up with me and is now a member of the Hangman Grand Hall. That's why I know so much. Okay, I understand. I'll arrange for someone else to follow up on this matter. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Just pretend you don't know about it. How much money is in the company's account now? Fang Lang didn't doubt Wan Changxin's explanation. After all, as a Chinese who grew up in Chinatown, if he said that there was no one involved in a gang around him, no one would believe it. As for why Fang Lang thought of looking for Hangman first, the reason is very simple. One is that Hangman's influence in the United States is very large, and they have people in all walks of life. Second, Roosevelt was a lawyer for Hangman. With such a relationship, no one would believe you if you said that Hangman had no influence in the United States. Global Trade now has $1 million in funds at its New York headquarters. If you need it, we can withdraw $18 million from the Italian branch at any time. Fang Lang was very surprised to hear that his company actually had such a large cash flow. How can there be so much money? Have we cleared out all the materials shipped back from Brazil? Yes, our company now has 13 cargo ships, and these ships have already departed from Italy. 3 ships will dock in New York and load the new machinery and equipment we purchased to Brazil. They are expected to arrive in 10 days. Wan Changxin obviously knows more about the company's situation than Fang language. Since our fleet already has so many ships, it is very necessary to set up a special shipping company. You will take care of this matter. All ships will be assigned to this company and registered in the United States, which will make it easier for us to receive orders when Europe is revived. After the company is established, you can also start placing ship orders with American shipyards. See if you can quickly expand our transportation company. This may be difficult because the orders for American shipyards are already scheduled for 48 years. Wan Changxin has learned about the situation of American shipyards. The transportation of aid materials has never stopped. Ships are sunk at sea every day, so the United States is constantly piling up the number of ships every day. This won't work. Now many places in Italy and France have been recaptured by the Allies. When you go back today, send a telegram to Kohans. I remember that the steel and shipbuilding industries in Genoa, Italy are very developed. Our global trade cannot just stay in name. Genoa is still in the hands of the Germans. According to the current progress of the war, the Allies will definitely recapture Genoa by the end of May. When the Allies just occupy Genoa, we will directly take action and get a high quality shipyard at the lowest price. We must have our own shipbuilding industry and at the same time, see if we can acquire a steel plant. The demand for revived steel in Europe will be very strong. At the same time, see if there is any opportunity to set up a shipbuilding and steel company in New York. Take advantage of the strong support from the United States for such companies. Set up the company first and control the Italian companies in the name of these 2 companies. Although we entered the market late and could not catch up with the dividends of the war, we can start applying for patents for containers and container cargo ships. At that time, we will directly eliminate all the current cargo ships. No, it is not enough to just focus on Italy and the United States. You must organize your people as soon as possible and start acquiring shipyards and steel mills in the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. We must build our own container ship empire in the shortest possible time. At the same time, we must acquire terminals in these countries and build our own container terminals. By then, we will be the world's largest logistics giant. Chapter 50 Company Planning. Wan Changxin stared at Fang Lang in amazement. He had never thought that Fang Lang's goal was so ambitious. He could not help but feel a sense of pride and urgency. However, he could not help but feel a little worried when he thought about the money needed for such a big plan. Although I don't know what the container ship you are talking about is. However, according to your plan, the funds we need to invest will be very huge, and we don't have that much money now. Fang Lang certainly knew that there was no concept of container ships at present, and this was exactly where Fang Lang's confidence in becoming bigger and stronger lay. I will give you the concept and design of the container ship during this period. You'd better hurry up to set up a shipyard and recruit several ship designers to complete it with me. We also need to set up a special company to study the container terminal and port machinery and equipment and apply for global patents. Believe me, this will be something that can change the world. You don't have to worry about the money. We are not going to do it all at once, but one place at a time. First, we will set up a company in the United States, then acquire shipyards in the United Kingdom and France, and when the locations of the shipbuilding companies in Italy and Germany that we are optimistic about are recovered, we will enter the site as soon as possible. The scale of the shipyard does not have to be very large, but it must have a slipway for building large ocean-going ships. Won Changxin was excited to hear the boss's huge plan. With such a clear direction, the rest of the things need to be carried out by themselves. But after all, he is still young. From a young man who knows nothing, he was entrusted with an important task by the boss. Now the company has more than 100 people. It is already very difficult to manage. Now the boss wants to spread the stall so big, and his ability is not enough. Now according to the boss's plan, at least 5 new large companies will be established, including global trade, global shipping, global shipbuilding, global steel, global port machinery, and global terminals. Even if I have 3 heads and 6 arms, I'm not busy enough. I understand. I will start to arrange it after I go back. I don't know when the boss will have time to come to the company. Your office can be empty all the time. The company's employees all want to see you. And now you have such a big plan. I'm definitely not able to complete it alone. See if you can recruit a few more suitable people. Won Changxin's attitude made Fang Lang very satisfied. He certainly couldn't leave such a big plan to him alone. This was not a question of trust or not. He was responsible for everything. Then these companies would become his one-man show in the future. In the end, he would be the boss, or I would be the boss. How about this? Please help me make an appointment with a big lawyer and accountant in New York tonight. I will talk to them in the company's conference room after class. I don't know if there are any headhunting companies in the United States now. Fang Lang packed the breakfast that had been eaten long ago, put it back into the oil paper bag, and stood up and said, "Headhunting company? Do you mean a company that specializes in recruiting high-level talents?" Won Changxin looked up at Fang Lang while cleaning up the mess on the table. Huh. It really exists? Have headhunting companies in the United States existed so early? The history of headhunting companies obviously touched Fang Lang's blind spot in knowledge. When he heard Won Changxin mention a company that specializes in recruiting high-level talents, Fang Lang knew that this must be the predecessor of headhunting companies. Won Changxin did not find that the question raised by Fang Lang was problematic. What do you mean by headhunting companies existed so early? If not, where did you hear about it? If someone with ulterior motives heard it, it might expose his identity as a time traveler. However, people in this era do not have such a big imagination, and certainly do not have the concept of time travelers. Even if he told others that he came from the future, no one would believe him. If the company you mentioned is the same as what I understand correctly, I do know a company called Digdalen Talent Search, which was founded in 1926. They specialize in finding suitable executives for companies. In that case, then you can place an order with them to recruit excellent managers and senior technical personnel for us. Notify me when the interview is scheduled, and I will interview them in person. Since there are such professional companies now, professional matters should of course be left to professionals. This has always been Fang Lang's creed. Okay, boss, I'll contact them when I get back. I wonder if you have anything else to tell me. Fang Lang looked at his watch. It was almost 8 o'clock, and Fang Lang was also going to prepare to report to school. He shook his head and said, "Not for now. I will go to the company tonight. If there is anything else, we will talk about it then. It's getting late now, and we need to report. You should go back early too." When Won Changxin heard that his boss was going to report, he quickly stood up and said, "Okay, boss, then I will go to work first. Do you need me to pick you up in the evening?" Fang Lang waved his hand casually and said, "No, I don't know when to settle. After I'm done, I can call a car to go there. Then goodbye, boss." Won Changxin said, picked up the garbage he had eaten, opened the door and walked out. When he walked outside, he didn't forget to nod to Delator who was waiting outside. After Fang Lang and Delator packed up, they couldn't wait to rush to the training site of West Point Military Academy. When they arrived, several classmates were already sitting in the classroom. Everyone looked at them with scrutiny, especially when they looked at Fang Lang. Two of them were obviously disgusted. Fang Lang had experienced many such eyes, and he knew that he was encountering racial discrimination. Although he didn't know which country these people came from, Fang Lang wouldn't mind teaching them a lesson if he had the chance. De La Tour on the side noticed the looks of the few people and stood up immediately. Although Fang Lang was much younger than him, he was very convinced of Fang language. And now Fang Lang took him back to the destroyer, and it was the most advanced destroyer, as the deputy captain, which made De La Tour regard himself as Fang Lang's confidant. Now seeing that someone dared to disrespect his superior, this was unbearable. Fang Lang stretched out his hand and pressed on De La Tour's shoulder. With Fang Lang's current strength, De La Tour couldn't stand up. He could only glare at the eyes of several people and sat down angrily. Fang Lang was also very angry about this discrimination, but now this was a military camp, and the other party just cast a look and did not provoke. Fang Lang would not fire the first shot. If someone dared to provoke him verbally, Fang Lang would definitely let the other party know why the flowers were so red. Soon the personnel arrived one after another. After the classroom was filled with about 30 people, no one came in. Not long after, a middle-aged white man with blonde hair, dressed in casual clothes, walked up to the podium and began to introduce himself. "Hello everyone, I'm Professor Maxim from the Navy School of West Point Military Academy. I'm responsible for teaching you the functions and roles of each system of the Fletcher-class destroyer, their basic working principles, and how we integrate and use it in war this month. These are related to everyone's life and death on the battlefield, so I hope everyone can take it seriously." Then he began to lecture on his own at the podium, without organizing students to introduce themselves, elect class leaders, and even didn't know if there was a class teacher. Fang language. Only at the end of the class, a young military academy student came in and distributed a student handbook and a timetable to everyone. The student handbook clearly stipulates everything during the study period, no matter how big or small, and the punishment regulations. Because the whole class was made up of white students, and Fang Lang was the only yellow person, so when the military school student handed out the manual and schedule to Fang Lang, he also looked at Fang Lang with a strange look, and did not communicate with Fang Lang at all. This made Fang Lang very angry. At least this was the first time he felt real racial discrimination after traveling to Brazil. Although no one had any verbal conflicts with him, ignoring him throughout the whole process was actually the biggest discrimination. After class, several students in the distance often gathered together and pointed at Fang Lang, which made Fang Lang very unhappy. When Fang Lang was in modern society, China had already risen in the world, and many people were proud to learn Mandarin. Although there were some white people who discriminated against Chinese people, they had never encountered such a situation as now. When I was in Italy, I didn't know if it was because I was wearing a military uniform, so I didn't feel this kind of discrimination. Including on the American transport ship, I didn't feel this naked discrimination, but now in the American classroom, I was discriminated against by students who didn't know where they came from. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.